All right, man. All right, I got my beer. I got all my shit. I hate doing it like that, man. I've had to do it like that way the last 2 times. I like to just kind of have everything set where I just go bing and nobody knows that we're really like recording or doing anything. Because when I do
Right.
it that way, everyone's always like lights, camera, action, and they kind of like fucking, they kind of freeze
Right.
and shit.
Yeah. Miss out on the first 5 minutes and yeah.
Yeah. So, well, hey, Steve, man, kind of dive into this, dude. I gotta, I'm not gonna say it's awkward. It's because it's not. I can talk to fucking anybody. I guess it's good to be able to face you, real conversation. After all this time, I guess you don't need an introduction. People know who you are as far as motorcycle Harley scene and all that shit, man. So I appreciate you taking some time out, man, and coming to kick it. I know, and I will. Let me start off by saying, just like kind of well with Jason stuff, man. Like I respect the shit out of anybody that can sit down and go, hey, man, despite anything that I've said, you've said, I can still sit down and we can have a conversation. So I respect the fuck out of that, man, when everything's said and
Yeah.
done.
Yeah, definitely just a little like backtrack on, like we just had some, I don't know, I'd say they're stupid as fuck. Just like I don't know.
No, I think that's fair enough,
Like
man. And I think the
like
reason that I reason that I wanted to sit down and have the conversation with you was simply because, yeah, childish, dumb, and shit like that. But it would give me a much having a conversation with you, just like I sat down when I did with Jace, gave me a much better understanding of the person, the individual, the background, and shit like that. And I'm okay in admitting and saying that. Um, I think I can confidently say I judged a book by its cover in your case. So fair, and so I can man up and say that shit.
yeah, I don't know what kind of cover, I guess I put out there, as far as myself, I guess I portray, at least kind of used to a little harder, like little party guy, like who's this dude, out there. But, as far as motorcycles go and motorsports and anything that goes fast or gets my dick hard, I'm about it, fucking. So,
Well, I could
yeah. So
definitely
like,
go
I
ahead.
guess I don't
Go ahead.
really have like, you know, the persuade face of a dude that wrenches on motorcycles and then goes out and parties and fucking rides the hell out of them, and that. And, I'm a big car guy too. I caught a little bit of your live right before this started. Like, my shit started in cars. Like, I didn't,
Hold on, Steve. You cut out on me. Can you hear me?
yeah.
Yeah, just the video portion. I just wanted. Okay, sorry, I cut out on you for a second. You were saying your stuff started in cars.
Yeah. Like, cars is like my background. That's where like my dad, he was into it growing up. He had old 70s Nova, wrenching on with him when I was like 4 years old. Fucking, I went and bought my first car. It was like a 91 Camaro when I was like 14 years old, um, without my dad knowing. Like, title in my name from a repo auction, just like went home, be like, hey, dad, I bought a car. You want to help me get it home? Like, it doesn't run, but I got the keys to it and I got the title. And he's like, what the hell? Hell yeah, let's go get it. So as far as like wrenching and all that shit, like, I'm about it. Fucking,
Well,
I'm not.
like, and that's why I said I think it's fair for me. Like I said, I think that's why I kicked off the conversation with me making sure to point out that I guess it's fair to say I judge the book by its cover in that sense because it's fair to say, and I will admit I threw jabs and shade here and there where I thought different style, but um you sound like and this is what this conversation is about. It's for me to have a better understanding and people to hear you and I be able to have a conversation and talk about this type of shit. What age was that, man? How old were you?
Like, my first car that I bought by myself, I was 14. And then I ended up selling that and I bought a truck on eBay down in Texas when I was 15. And I told my dad, like, hey, I bought this truck on eBay. Like, we got to drive from Michigan to Texas to go pick it up. And he's like, fucking, all right. I've had a job since I was like 11. So like, it was all my own money, work my ass off for what I have. I'm not no fucking trust fund kid by any means. Like anything and everything I have, it's just because I fucking work for it. Like I'll spend $1 where I need to and not where I don't, type of thing. So sometimes I get a little innovative on shit, but sometimes like if I know I got to spend some money, I spend some money,
Yeah. Well, that's part of the sport and everything, no matter where it is, no matter if it's cars or Harleys or boats or whatever it may be. Sometimes innovation can take you a lot farther, but sometimes you just need to spend the money on stuff that you just can't make, fabricate, or it's simply what you need,
Yeah, exactly. So like it's got me like really far as like, being in the car shit. That truck I bought down in Texas, like that thing came as a basket case. It was a 78 GMC regular cab long bed on 40-inch tires. It was all rust free. But I mean, I had a body bolted to a frame with the axles on it. And it came with the windows, it came with the wiring, it came with like transmission transfer case. And I had to fucking play the biggest thing of, I don't know, a Rector set with it, just figuring out how it went together. Like the biggest thing that got me was like the wiring, dude. Like I got a truck and there was 4 different wiring harnesses that came with it. At the time, I didn't know. Like, old 70s trucks has like glass fuses, and then it came with a bunch with like the spade style, normal fuses. And I'm like, where the hell does this go? You extra parts from other ones because he was going to put the new style wiring harness in this old style truck, but I didn't know. I'm 15 years old, just trying to build this thing by myself. So that truck was like one of the biggest stepping stones into just being mechanical. Like my dad would help me a little bit here and there, but he still worked late nights and all that shit. So it wasn't like, all right, I got out of school, he got done with work, and he'd help me in the garage sometimes, but most of the time I was just in the garage by myself, just trying to figure shit the fuck out.
That's usually the best way to learn is trial by fire. It's just kind of like, like how they say is just if you want to learn how to swim, just throw them in the pool, kind of, it's figure it out, dive head in. So did your old man like also have it? Like, did you help him with his stuff, or was it you that kind of like got into it and then he'd give you a hand and stuff, or did he have his own type of
like he was all kind of into cars like before I was born, like his 75 Nova, like he had that for like years, so I was helping with him with that. Like, I remember being like 4 years old trying to help him rebuild a carburetor, which entailed like, hey, I still remember this, but it's like, hey, we took this carburetor apart. I need a gasket that looks like this, and the gasket's in 3 pieces. Like, try to find one out of the box that looks like that, for a float bowl and shit, everything. So I'm like, all right, cool. Like, I got that. That's not a problem. Like just memories like that, and you kind of have, your pops to, help you figure out that. And I don't know. I think by this point in my life,
you still got your old man? Your old man's still around?
He still lives up in Michigan.
Okay. All right. You cut out a little bit, but I got that he still lives up in Michigan. Is that what you said?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. How old is he? You don't mind me asking? Is he a younger dad? Oh, mine was a younger dad. He had me at the ripe age of 18.
Yeah. Well, I'm the youngest of 3. So like, I think he had like my sister, the oldest, at like 19, 20. And then he was born in 64. So I don't know where that puts him at, but he's like 58 right now.
Yeah, so he's the same age as my old man, because my old man was born in 60. Well, my old man passed, but he was born in 64. So I think this year or next year it would have been his 60th. So he's probably 59 right now, I think, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Well, cheers to having your old man still, man. That's it's a blessing still, when you don't have them, I guess. You count your blessings as you kind of lose them, so to speak.
Yeah, for sure. He's a good dude. Definitely good, gives a lot more than he takes, One of those.
Well, that is definitely not a bad characteristic to have. Uh-oh, cutting out on me again. You got me?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cutting out. So let me ask, man, like where did the Harleys kind of come in then? Because my history with you, or we'll say history, my getting to know you, finding you on Instagram, however, people come across, is I'd say, what are we in, 22? I'd say 18-ish, 18, 19-ish. So if I found you then and I was watching and following along, how long have you been doing it before that with Harleys? How long you been into the Harley thing?
So like Harleys kind of came about. So I was, I don't know, I was 18 years old. I ended up losing my license. Like I got a restricted driver's license where no one under 25 could ride my vehicle, and I couldn't drive past like 11 o'clock at night. My restriction. I'm like, cool. None of my friends can ride with me. I was like, screw it. I'm gonna get a motorcycle. I'll just ride by myself. So at 18 years old, went out and looked at a bunch of bikes, like wanted a Harley, and I was like, I'm gonna get a Sportster. And then I don't know if you ever met me in person. I'm 6'4", 280 pounds. Like I'm not Sportster type of material. And then
I
like
could
you see
tell
in
a
my
little bit by the pictures.
yeah, you see a Sportster on Craigslist, and you're like, oh, the price range, like I can make that happen. And then you go sit on one in person, and I'm like, wow, it's a lot smaller bike than I thought. So like I went to a Harley dealer, and then I sat on a bunch of bikes, and I think I was in between like a Heritage Softail and a V Rod, and then went home, went back the next day to go buy a V Rod. That my dad liked V Rods at the time and shit, and went back to go buy it the next day, and that one sold. So I ended up buying. I walked in the dealership, and they had a brand new one. It was like the Night Rod Special, and then I bought the brand new one right off showroom floor at 18 years old. I had a decent job, and then
Okay.
fuck, dude. Like I don't know. I remember my first modification to it. Like I didn't like the rear fender on it, so my first modification included a cutoff wheel. Took the rear fender off and basically made the rear seat into the rear fender. So it's basically the seat ended. This is still kind of in like this is 2008, so it was like still kind of like chopper era. So it had a 260
Yeah.
wide rear tire, or 240 it came with, but I put a 260 on it. And then chopped that away. I did air ride front and rear on it.
You had a lot of tire exposed then sitting like behind
Yeah,
you then.
the whole tire you could basically see. You just had like the little V of the seat, and then everything else was all tire right there. And I ended up doing air ride front and rear on it, and then I did I was one of the first guys in the world to do a TTS supercharger. So yeah, TTS, they're a company that's actually making like billet ramp sprockets now, and
Yeah.
they're big into TTS, and the brand supercharger was Rotrex. So I did a Rotrex supercharger on it that winter, and fuck, well, I already had license problems and everything, and I ended up losing my license on it again. So I ended up getting rid of that thing. But that first bike, I think it ended up doing like 160 at the rear wheel.
Wow.
And I would bang wheelies on it to like, I don't know, I can get it through the top.
Sorry, guys, we're losing him a little bit. Steve, we're kind of. Hang on a second. If you can hear me, we're kind of losing you right now. I don't know if it's my internet.
Yeah.
Hang on a second.
I'm doing full bars on my side, so.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just a little. I can like sometimes if the audio's cool, so be it. I don't need it. I can deal without the video. But you were saying that you got it where we cut out was around. You said 160 horsepower or
Yeah.
what? 160?
Yeah, it was like 160 power at the rear wheel. Like I was on this big forum back in the day that's like all V-Rod dudes, and then we did like this meetup, and there was a dyno day during it, and there's a bunch of trash turbo V-Rods, and I was the only dude with a supercharger, then big bore ones and big bore nitrous, and fucking 19 years old, I went home with the most horsepower fucking plaque, of that day. So
So
yeah, like,
is the speed your thing then? I'd have to assume because I mean you only put a supercharger on there obviously if you're trying to go as fast as you possibly can on something. So is it the speed that is like that? We all obviously have an adrenaline rush for these things. And some of us it's the speed, some of them it's laying down and really tight in a corner. So I don't know, everybody has a different adrenaline thing. Is that what you chase the most on these things? Is the speed?
I guess I don't like horsepower. I like things to be reliable. Turbo has always just kind of scared me. as far as on a motorcycle, just because you got two wheels and the way the turbo lights. If you know you're deep in a corner and you know your turbo lights, you blow out the rear tire, you know, halfway throughout a corner, like you better be damn good not to fucking, you know, high side yourself or low side yourself, you know. So
Yeah.
like, so as far as that bike, you know, I guess I really like the motor, you know, I'm a big motor guy, like, so you had a liquid cooled cam V twin that would rev out to 9,500 RPMs. Like basically that's what the new like Pan Americas are and the fucking Sportster S's. Everybody gives V Rod shit, but the fucking motor's badass.
That's what I was just about to say. I mean, I was waiting for you to finish. I mean, as much shit as people give them, it was meant to go fast, man, and it was a bad motherfucker. I mean, when it came down to that, it was a fast bike from Harley.
Yeah, and then like growing up, you know, 18, 19 years old with that thing, all my buddies had rockets. So you just learned how to ride keeping up with rockets. You know, it wasn't just like on the highway. I mean, you fucking scrape the pegs off this thing completely. And, you know, I low sided it. You know, one time I crashed it with a low side, dipping it into a corner frame. And then, you know, I've lifted the rear tire multiple times, just, you know, being deep in a corner and just hit some hard point and, you know, the exhaust or whatever it would be and just pick it up and slide across a lane. So that got me into bikes. And then '09, I ended up getting rid of it and I got out of bikes for years. Like I was into trucks. That old 78 GMC, I ended up doing like a um,
Fuck.
back.
Hang on, Steve. This shit's fucking cutting out again. This is the fucked up part about this, doing them this way. Hang on, guys. Steve, if you can hear me, it's fucking cutting out again. Let me
Yeah, I can hear you.
yeah, okay. Steve saying some of you saying Steve got that Bobby Wi-Fi. I guess
Yeah, maybe
it's all
maybe
good,
being
man.
in this other shop.
Yeah, you might just be a little bit further away from the shit. Speaking of shops, you know, I do you know how Instagram is kind of. I mean, you're on it, so you probably figured out kind of how the damn thing works. So since you and I have been messaging a little bit, Instagram now wants to put everything of yours in my feed like constantly because that's what it thinks what we want to see now. So, but I've seen you've been like moving a little bit. Like you're not in Texas anymore. Am I correct? What was
Yeah,
did I say that?
yeah. I moved out of Texas in February of this year.
So time for just something. See that I will say this, dog. I will say this. I'm a married man with kids and stuff, so I'm a little grounded and stuff. You know, I've got roots and whatnot here. I'm pretty sure that no kids and you know things like that on your end. And so
Yeah,
if I were you, like me, single in your case, I'd be doing it like you would be doing it right now, man. Like if there's no tie downs or there's no restrictions or like have to be here's or anything, and you can go do something else in another place, another opportunity, and you can get up and go, man. I dig that. I fuck with that, you know, but I'm just not in that. My lifestyle hasn't got me to have that type of luxury. So to my hat's off to you in that sense, man, because it takes a certain type of person just to get up and kind of like, all right, I'm moving. Some people don't want to move the next city over, let alone move from
right.
one state to another state and then start all anew and afresh and stuff, you know. So when it comes to that type of shit, to trying to better yourself or whatever it may be, man, my hats off to you. I can respect that type of hustle and that type of grind and shit.
Yeah, yeah. Because like I'm normally from Michigan. I grew up there and lived there till like November of 2020, and then I picked up and went down to Texas for like a year and a half. Tried that out. I was in like the Austin area. That was just getting super expensive, and then now I'm up in like St. Louis, Missouri. So a
Was
little
that
bit
part
more
of
central.
was that part? I mean, was that part of the reason for it? The cost of living? Because fuck, man, it is expensive. It is expensive everywhere you go. Uh oh, we lost him again.
back,
You,
no,
you
maybe.
guys, you guys got to make sure you pay that Wi-Fi bill, man. Got to make sure.
Right. Maybe I want to open the garage door and just see if it.
Okay, try that, Bobby. You're right. Kyle needs to pony up for better Wi-Fi. All right, I just want to make sure it's not on my end because I'm
Right.
getting it choppy on his end, but I don't know what. I mean, we are what we do, man. We can do what we do.
Yeah, maybe we'll see if it's a little better with the garage door open. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows, man. So you're up in St. Louis area then now,
Yeah.
and you're up there with at Kyle's shop, is from what I understand up there. What's the name of his shop?
Forever Rad.
Forever Rad. Okay. And are you
Yeah.
guys, I mean, can you spill details? I'm sure are you working for him, with him, just as your own thing alongside with him? What's kind of your guys' partnership
Uh,
relationship you got going?
yeah, because like I'm owner, Screaming Speed and Fab
Right.
and a couple other little products that we're going to be coming out with soon that I've been working on, and then I'll help him in his projects and whatnot. So he's got bike builds, just kind of like we both do our own little separate thing, but I'll give him a hand when he needs a hand. He'll give me a hand when I need a hand. Been doing the bagger racing thing. Like he'll come out there and pit for me, and just been friends with the dude for years. So
Right on,
just
man.
decided to try it out. St. Louis is just a little bit more centrally located in the United States. That was another thing about Texas, like being down in Austin. It was like if I wanted to leave Texas, it was just multiple hour drive just before I even got to the state line. And I'm like, all right, now I have a 13-hour drive from here to get anywhere.
Yeah, Texas is fucking big, man. Yeah, you can drive through Texas for days.
Yeah.
So, well, how is the racing stuff going, man?
Well, it's been better, judging by broken hand. Um, Utah, like I basically, built my own bike, fund my bike, do that. Like I got a couple like little sponsors that kind of help with, a set of tires or a little bit of cash just for hotel and gas. Um, and a couple people that have helped a little bit with parts. Utah, we went out there. Utah was the first race this year. Came out there where the bike completely changed, and I ended up getting third place in my class. Got up on the podium, and then we just had one in Milwaukee, and during practice on Friday, just running down the front stretch at 120, 130, and jammed on the brakes and got kind of a dude coming off pit lane. I was running up hard on a guy, and then the guy I was running up hard on, he checked up a little bit harder than he would have before he dipped down in turn one, and then I locked my front tire up once, twice, and then the third time, and I tried to commit to the corner, and the bars just went right up from underneath me, just locked the front tire up, and then I kind of flew off the front and smacked, on the ground, cracked helmet, and then got back and I picked the bike up on the track. I rode it back off. I was like, it's not leaking in oil, whatever. I get back and then they're like, should we fix the bike? Because it just like broke a little bit on the brake on the mid control and cracked the carbon fiber fairing and fucking all that shit. And then so
Did
they
you
ended up
high
putting the bike
side?
back.
Did you high side? Or you just
I,
it out?
I low sided it. Yeah, I
Okay.
tucked it. I tucked the front tire to a low side. I'm really good at riding crashes all the way to the ground. I've learned, like, I just kind of freak out and just like hold on to the fucking handlebars and just like, we're gonna take her down. So,
I guess if there's one way to go, just go down with the ship, right?
yeah. So I don't know, like, because I went down on my right side, and then like I get back and like, you good? I'm like, yeah, my hand hurts, and then freaking ended up just kind of toughing it out, stuck it in an ice cooler, and then they fixed the bike. I missed a practice and it was qualifying, and like, dude, I'm trying to pull in the clutch, and I'm like, the first time I tried to pull it in, like 10 minutes after it happened, like my fingers just trembled. I'm like, dude, I swear my hands broke. Like I've never broke a bone before. I'm like, I think my hands broke. And then I just kept icing it, took a couple like ibuprofen or whatever, and then qualifying time came on. I got all my gear on, just got on the bike and just hit that mode of just all right, and just grabbed the clutch and just, and it was like the pain just got masked. went out there, ended up qualifying in like sixth. You know, wasn't on my A game because every time I was pulling the clutch, it kind
Yeah.
of hurt. So I'm just kind of banging through some gears, you know, not using the clutch, and then go out there the next day and we requalify in the morning before the race and dropped another like 2 seconds off my time, but so did everyone else, and I was still in sixth. And then went out and raced Saturday and got sixth, then raced on Sunday, and I think I got sixth again. You know, just I was out of my groove, but
Yeah.
and then went and got a X-ray on Monday, and the hand was broken. So did
Well, hey, homie, listen, I would definitely well, I say you're about it, man. I mean, you enjoy the lifestyle, you live it, you're out there riding it, pushing the bike to the limits and the extreme and all that shit. Is there use is track riding kind of the direction that you're gonna just maybe steer yourself in?
like I've kind of said this since like the start of the BRL. I was like, you know, because I had a bunch of people who were like said I was really fast on the street. You know, you hear it from your homies. You know, I was
Right, right.
normally the guy up front. You know, and they're like, you need to do this. And then so when it came out, I was like, all right. And like my bike was already, I guess, decently prepared. Like my first race, I was still on floorboards and whatnot. And then just went out and did it without changing too much. I went and bought like 17-inch wheels and tires so I can run some nice tires on it, you know, as far as some sticky tires, and did that. But I always just kind of said from the beginning, I was like, I'll enjoy it while I can until it just becomes like a team and a jockey setup, you know, where, because like right now, like I'm the dude that builds the bike, I'm the dude that gets it to the racetrack, I'm the dude that funds it, I'm the dude that races it, you know, like I'm enjoying it with it just kind of being me, but eventually it's going to be like, you know, some of the, you know, top people out there where it's like, you know, the guy that gets first place, Arnie, cool ass dude, fucking love the dude to death. But it's like he's backed by a Harley dealership, you know, and has their techs, and he goes out there and rides a bike. I was like, the moment it pretty much just turns into like a jockey event, I was like, I'm cool with it. Like, so
Yeah.
I'll keep doing it while I can, but I'm not gonna like kill myself over it, if that makes sense. You know what I
No,
mean?
it does, man. But on the flip side of it, you don't know where it's going to go, how big it's already. I think it's fair to say that it's already much bigger than it was 2 years ago. You know, the growth of
Yeah,
it is bigger than it was. So if you're riding hard and you're out, I mean, that's what racers do. They try and get the recognition and some sponsorships and shit like that. So maybe someone will you'll catch their eye or they'll catch your eye or something like that, and maybe it blossoms into something like that. Who fucking knows? I know what I do
yeah.
know is that racing is expensive, and
Oh yeah,
and I know that from not even like doing it. I know that from my father-in-law who's raced for over 30 years. Watching him and the amount of money he spends just to go and race his car and his truck and the parts that he has, and like, I mean, it's insane how much money he spent on a hobby of racing over the past 30 years. But it's a hobby, and it's just not a cheap hobby, is what you got to fucking keep in mind if you're going to go and do it. You better be,
right.
prepared to shell out some, because I mean, a set of tires for the weekend. I mean, what, $400, $400-500 for a set of tires for a weekend?
Yeah, like 450, and like I'll go through a couple sets a weekend. You know, so like each race pretty much has cost me at least $5,000. You know, every time I go out there. You know, by the time, because like this last one was the closest from St. Louis to Milwaukee, but the other one, like the first one I did, I had to drive from Austin, Utah, and then the time after that was from Austin, and then I went up to Indianapolis, had my bike tuned, went to Milwaukee, then I went to Sonoma, California, and then back to Austin, and then this last one was, or then earlier this year was St. Utah, which was still 1,350 miles. You know, so the fuel getting there, and tires and lodging and all that shit, it just adds up so fast.
Yeah.
So I'll enjoy it while I can, you know, keep working hard, you know, just to make shit happen. You know, if some sponsorship comes out of it, cool. Like, I just do my best. I kind of got one of those mentalities, like, if I want to do it, I just figure it the fuck out, you know? Like,
Yep. Fair
not
enough.
really, like I kind of have a hard time just being like, I have a hard time asking, you know what I mean? Like I have people that offer, but I don't really go out and ask people. I go, hey, if I want to do this, or, if I talk to somebody about a part, like I'm prepared to pay full retail. Like if I say like, hey, I need, a custom exhaust, for my bike for these mid controls, I'm like, make the pipe happen. If you cut me a deal on it, cool. If not, I'm here to pay full retail and I got it sitting there, like, type of
Yeah.
mindset. So that's kind of hard in the racing thing. It's just, I guess, staying competitive and staying not stressed out enough to fucking afford it and fucking, be able to, keep all of my customers happy as far as, the products I'm selling, just basically it's a fucking juggling act right now. So doing
Yeah,
my
man.
best doing it.
I can I respect every aspect of it, man, the more I talk to you, because the mentality and the grind for it, it takes a certain type, man. Not everybody's cut out for it. And hearing a little bit
Right.
more, this is why I wanted to have the conversation with you. I get to know you a little bit better. I'm not gonna judge the book by its cover, but you have the mentality of like, I want to fucking do this like I do. And I can relate to what you're saying, because when you want to go and do something, when you're like, I want to do that, you'll do whatever it takes to go and do it. I have mine set in a little bit different priorities. Like, hey, I got to make sure that I get I got to make sure that I send my kid to private school for the next 4 years of high school. So I need to go out and
Yeah.
hustle that money so that I can do that. Yours is, I want to go and fucking race. I want to make sure that I get to each race. That's a thing for me. I want to be there, whatever the reason is. But like you said, it costs. It's not cheap. I know that. I don't. Not a lot of people think that. Some people might even look at you and see your Instagram and your following and your travel, and they may fucking think that, oh, it's what a great life. The guy's fucking, you know, traveling and going to the track and doing this and doing that, and like not even thinking 1 second about the money, or or maybe even just thinking like you're sponsored and you're not paying for any of this shit. Like, but on the contrary, you're having to work a shit ton. It sounds like you're having to put all the effort and you're funding it on your own. And again, I know it ain't cheap to travel and do all that shit. So it takes a certain type, man. So I can respect
Yeah.
the hustle and the grind to make it happen for sure.
Yeah. There's a lot of sacrifices out there, to live, I guess, live a life like how I have. I have so many people like, oh, I wish I could do that, but I have this. And I'm like, well, I chose not to have that so I could do this. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, and don't get me wrong, there's shit that other people have that I'm fucking way jealous of, fucking, I'm like, all right, cool. It'd be sweet to have like, your own house to go home to. Like, I'm just fucking nomading that past couple years, just figuring out as I go, just trying to find where I want to put roots and find out what, keeps my spark going in life, keeps my motivation. Like I always said, um, fucking, if you ain't learning something new every day, what's the point of waking up? So like you'll
I can
catch me
fucking
in like in the performance bagger scene. I've been doing that for a while. Like what got me into that was like before, like I had a truck with a turbo, I had a supercharger, I've dealt with nitrous, dealt with like chassis stuff, building roll bars, for other things. And then I was like, I've never really like dove deep in suspension. So I had a buddy that had an FXR in my shop that we had, they're renting out together. And then he was talking to me about Olin's and FXRs in California back in the day. And then when I went and finally decided to buy a brand new Road Glide, I was like, I'm not changing the wheels on it. I was like, I like the 1819 wheel. It looks cool. And then I ended up getting Olin's for it. And then I was like, I want to lift it up. Like I want to do cornering on it. Cause like my bike before I had that was like a Road King with a 23-inch spoked wheel and air ride and shit. And dude, I'd ride the fucking balls off this thing, like just dog wagon in a corner, fucking 105, just maxed out on the stock 88, just, And I was like, I need a better bike. Like, so when I got into it, I kind of had like a little bit of inspiration from my FXR buddy and, that. But then I was just like, I just wanted to dive deep in suspension. So like I had it inverted on that bike from the get go. I ran that for 2 seasons, and then it was good. It was as good as gets. And I was like, can I make it handle just as good with a stock front end? So I got rid of the inverted and I went back to, stock, fork leg style front end. And dude, I got the thing so dialed in. I did custom trees, did all the math to it. My bike's a little extended on the swing arm, different shock geometry, different rake of the trees. Right now.
You're talking about now, though. It's current setup now, right? Not then.
Yeah. The suspension, basically the suspension that's on it with this, it's been how it's been since like 2020. With my rake trees and that, like I have a little bit taller on the rear shock since the racing started, but yeah.
There we go. Yeah.
So it's just it's been a progression of just trying to figure shit out and just doing my own little thing.
I think that's where my introduction to you was. I guess when you say the performance bagger thing, I don't know where you stand on it, homeboy, but I'm kind of over the whole term of performance bagger thing. I enjoyed it for a period of time, but it's now I'm just kind of over the term itself. I wish we just call them baggers like they were, when nobody wanted them and they were grandpa bikes, and just call them what they are. Just call them a bagger. I got a bagger. You got a what? Yeah. Own it like back when they weren't as cool as they are now. If you said you had a bagger and you were like, what? You got a fucking old man's bike? Yep. Just own it, homeboy. Own that you have a bagger.
Well, it's like back in the day when all my buddies are on sport bikes and everything, and then they're like, what do you ride? I was like, I ride a Harley. And then they're like, all the chicks wanted dudes on sport bikes. They want a dude on a Harley. Why the fuck would they want a dude on a Harley? Yeah.
Every chick out here, I'm in Southern California. Every chick out here wants a dude on a Harley, man. There is nothing that compares to a Harley.
This is when, what's that fucking movie, Torque? Biker Boys was out.
Okay, all right, yeah. Okay, we're talking that era then. Okay, all right.
Oh yeah, that was back in the day.
So yeah, that's where my kind of introduction to you was. I remember coming. I don't know how. Am I cutting out here? I feel like I am.
I still hear you.
Okay. That's where my introduction to you was around that time when I saw that you had a white road glide, and then I don't know how I came across it, somewhere on Instagram, whether it was the Explore page or somewhere. Of course, you just see shit, and then that's where I started following along and checking out your bike and following your shit, because over here there wasn't that many of them, and then to see somebody else doing it somewhere else that already had one, I'm like, fuck, that's a dialed in bike. I was rocking the way that it was looking then, because it was at a time, I guess, where it was newer to the scene. I guess that's a valid thing for it. You were, what was it, 2018-ish or something like that?
Yeah, 2018. That bike had 500 miles on it when I put the inverted Olins on it and the piggyback shocks. I've never ridden that bike without T-bars. Living in Michigan, it snows and shit. I had it delivered, and I bought a cam and exhaust for the bike before I even bought the bike, because I was like, you buy the cam and exhaust, you got to buy the bike, right? So then I was locked in. So the bike got delivered. I've never worked on a Harley motor before. I swapped the cam out the day it got delivered, put the exhaust on it and a tuner, and then had it running by 9 o'clock that night. Couldn't even fucking ride it. I don't even know why I was so amped up on doing it. But then, before I even could ride it, when the snow melted, I put T-bars on it, and my first ride, it was 25, 30 degrees out. Just, all right, let's just go try not to go slip on the ice and fucking put a couple miles in this thing and see how she runs. And so I've never ridden that bike without motor upgrades or T-bars, but I did 500 miles before my suspension came in.
So I guess it's obviously fair to say that right out of the jump, it had its upgrades for the performance aspect of it. Had you seen the style anywhere else prior to you doing it, or was it kind of just a style that obviously coming from, you can easily make the connection of how somebody can kind of start doing the style on their own if they're a mechanic, like you're talking about. You had GMC and you had other cars, and so you got a V-Rod and all the other shit. So you got already kind of a mechanic, hot rod, kind of go fast kind of mind. Did you kind of did you see it anywhere else kind of kicking off before where you're like, I had this vision of this bike, I bought this road glide and take it? I mean, because it's obviously right off the floor. You took it apart, put a cam in it, put fucking T-bars on it. You know, you knew what you wanted off of the floor.
Yeah. There was a dude I knew off of Facebook that from like diesel trucks and stuff. He had like a street glide in Michigan that I seen he put T-bars on. So I asked him a couple questions like afterwards because I was kind of just dead set on that's the bar style I wanted to put on the bike. So then doing that and digging in, and then I ended up, I guess, coming across like Big Bear stuff because
Okay.
he was kind of already doing it. You know, that's who I ended up getting inverted suspension from. You know, was a Big Bear front suspension. So like seeing a little bit of that. As far as Instagram, like two of the main people that I've seen was like Race Glide and then Black Charlotte, Rusty. So Rusty had a Road King. He was like 14-inch rear shocks. Um, he just T-bars on a new Road
Yeah.
King special. So those were like I guess the first people that I've seen, but I
Yeah.
also took it to my own little direction. So like when I did the inverted, I looked at it and I was like, these trees are freaking sick. Like, why do I want like a gauge cover to cover these? Like, so I made sure everything I expose or hid all the wires behind the headlight and like wire loomed it all up into there so like the trees were exposed right when I put that inverted on there. Like that was just my style, is like just keep it clean and classy. And the bike was white, so I was like gold front end and did a couple other little gold accents on it. But I rocked that thing for the couple months, and then Big Bear ended up coming out with an extension for the inverted. So I was like, the bike I already felt sat too low with the inverted. Like it was like stock height with the inverted, and I was like, I sent the front end back, and I was like, hey, put the extension in the front end and put the bike on 14-inch rear shocks. And that was about July of 2018. So I've been running on 14s and doing it that way.
You've been you've been doing it for a minute,
Yeah.
it's fair. Yeah, for sure. I would say, I mean, that's when I came across you and saw your style and fuck, I sound all fucked up in here. And I think it's this thing. Sorry. I know what it is. Hang on a second. Okay. There. That might help. Perfect. Um I guess what I was saying is it's fair that that's the time that I ran across you and when you were building your bike and stuff like that. And I think to go into some of what we were touching on at the beginning of this, the beginning of our acknowledgement or knowing of each other, is I guess I don't know, how do I word this? How do I ask it or how do I say it? I guess is the person. How old are you, by the way? I don't even know that I even asked. How old are you?
I'm 32.
You're 32, so you're 8 years younger than I am. So you're not too far outside of the age that I am. And I don't say that in any like negative or positive way in any sort, just so to acknowledge it. But I guess you I encompass maybe a different type of culture in this thing, I think. And I think that's where maybe my riff was with you a little bit. But hearing your background and hearing your, with your dad and working on cars and shit. Yeah, it comes out, man, you're a guy like fucking me. You sound like a dude that grew up the same in a similar way in a different part of the country, in a different, upbringing and all that type of shit. But we had the same common type of, interest and all that shit in mind. And so with that being said, I guess I was looking at your Instagram stuff and maybe the way that you were portraying it, in a not a negative way, but I'm just like, well, who the fuck is this guy type thing? And I judge the book by the cover, man, kind of hearing your background and shit. So I like where you come from, dog. I like what you do. It's
Yeah.
I appreciate what you're not. I appreciate because I'm not anybody to get recognition from or anything, but I respect the shit that you're doing out there because you do put in the miles and you do put in. You're not a just say it and not do it kind of guy. I think at first it was for me more of this guy's more about the recognition on Instagram and and all that. I get building a brand or being somebody, or in your case now a business, because you got your side cover business and some of your other stuff. So you've built something with it along the way and shit. And my perception in the beginning was more of, I guess, just they're wanting more of the recognition on Instagram, but you're out there fucking like really banging the gears, putting the miles down, out there putting it out of your own pocket and shit. And for that, my hat's off to you, homeboy. I appreciate
Yeah, because like a lot of the thing, like with the Instagram, it's kind of like stems off of like my first bike when there was a big forum, So like I was a big part of a forum back in the day. So it was
which
like,
one? What was I? What were you part of?
well, this one was all just V-Rod dudes. It's called 1130cc.com, but it's all it was, I think so. I haven't logged into it forever,
Okay.
but it got you that mentality of, the world's fucking small and you can use the internet to your advantage. So like when I was 18 years old, or no, I was 19, I did my first cross country road trip on that V-Rod, supercharged. I went from Michigan to Vegas by myself. And then I ran out of gas, before I even left Michigan, because the thing was getting like 20 miles to the gallon. I tuned that whole bike with a Thunder Max, tuned it all myself. And then I ended up getting like lost in St. Louis. Ended up breaking down in Oklahoma. I messed up the supercharger, but then I had my laptop with me and I pull up the forums and like posting like all about my trip on there. And then, I was like, oh, I'm broke down in Oklahoma. I'm missing these tools like on this turnpike. And the people are like, oh, Joe's 2 hours from you. You have a call. And the guy's like, do I need to get in my truck right now to come get you? Do I, like just had this fucking motorcycle camaraderie on, this forum. Nobody I know. Like this is back in, 2008, 2009 when I was in this forum with people. So like, I guess when I got back into motorcycles, because like I was in, I had that V-Rod 09 and I got on motorcycles till like 2016. And then one just kind of fell in my lap, that Road King that I talked about before.
Did you just get into cars and stuff in the moment? That was most.
Yeah, like, dude, I was fearless on my first V-Rod. I was banging wheelies to like 85, 90 miles an hour. The thing would quit pulling at 149. Sometimes it'd go on a little death wobble, does that shit. Like, like I didn't care. And it's probably the only reason why I got rid of motorcycles, why I'm still here today, because, it was that. And so like at that time, I still had my old 70s GMC. So like I just got back into that, did the turbo in it, turbo 5.3, and ended up having a shop with like 3 other buddies. We just did a bunch of mechanical stuff. And I had like my boss's brother, I was an electrician. My boss's brother had like a 64 Chevelle and he wanted the motor resealed, air conditioning, 4-wheel disc brakes, new seats, and like the transmission rebuilt, but that was like outsourced. It was like a manual transmission. I didn't know how to do that. And then, so I did all the work on it and they came about to the bill and he's like, hey, do you want cash or do you like, I got this 2000 Road King. He's like, I'm done riding, And I was like, no, I don't need the cash. I was like, give me the Road King. And I threw my leg back over that. And I was like, fuck, I forgot how much I love motorcycles. And this was in 2016. And it was like, ever since then, it's just, my life just re-evolved around it, that trucks end up getting sold. I had, hot rod, low rider, Impalas on air ride and fucking all that shit. Like, I don't know.
You had an Impala
motorcycles right now.
What year Impala did you have?
I had a 68 and then I also had a 62 4-door hardtop. So,
okay.
And that one, okay. I welded a hitch on the back of it and then I tow around my 73 Starcraft boat with it. Fucking that always got the looks. You go drop a boat in the water and pull out and fucking hit the air ride on the car at the fucking boat launch. People were like, what the fuck? Like it was
that's
all patina down.
Yeah, dude. What the fuck made you want a 60? Was that the 68 or the 62 you said that had the hitch? Which one was it?
The 62 I put a hitch on.
the 62s. What made you want to? Was that your only tow? Was that your only vehicle, and that's what you could tow with?
Yeah,
That
I
was
was
it.
like, it's got a V8. It's a full frame car, like, you know. And I was like, it's airbags, so like, whatever. It was just like a 16-foot Starcraft aluminum boat with like a, what was it, a 65 horse Evinrude outboard on the
Okay.
back of it. So like, it wasn't a super heavy boat, but I was like, this thing's gonna look so cool. Like, before I even bought the boat, I was like, I'm towing it behind the Impala because fucking people are gonna go, what the fuck? And I was like, well, it's gonna be cool as shit. But you know, that's just like the mindset I have sometimes. Like, you know, think a little out of the box. You know, try some different shit. Like, I could have towed it around my truck, but who's gonna look at this old shitty boat behind a truck? People are gonna look at it when it's fucking behind the Impala, dumping it in the water and shit. So.
I definitely would give it a second fucking look. That's for sure. I'd be taking a picture of it and shit. That I'd also probably be doing that. I like cool shit like that. I like nichey, funky, like individual type of shit, man. That I could fuck with that.
Yeah,
Were
that
you
was like that 78 GMC that I had. Like, this was, I don't know, 2010, but doing a 5.3 turbo on E85 fuel. You know, it had 40-inch tall tires on 22 by 14-inch wheels. You know, so like,
oh, geez.
yeah, it was a big
It
ass
was
truck.
fucking up to your forehead or something, dude. That's
Oh
a
yeah,
pretty
and then that thing did 580 wheel horse. I don't know if you've ever done 130 plus on a truck on 40s, but that is way more adrenaline rush than I've ever had on a Harley. Like,
well, it's
fucking,
probably like
it's,
fucking you're just skipping over mud or whatever it is that you're riding on. You're
oh,
just
this
kind of
was, that was on the highway. I did a 133 in that truck on the highway on fucking mud tires, like turbo pipes glowing, like wondering when I'm gonna sling rods, and you know, if a wheel and tire would have fell off that thing or popped a wheel and tire, like guaranteed dead. Like, it had lap belts. It didn't have a roll cage. It didn't fucking, so I don't know. Going fast and shit that shouldn't go fast has always been
yeah.
like a,
That that's what I was saying earlier. That's what it sounds like. You like to chase a little bit. That's your adrenaline rush is the going fast part. Sitting back, like sit down, hold on, sit down, shut up, and hold on type shit, man. Here we go.
yeah. In all honesty, it's the learning part. You know, it's like, I don't have a drive just to like go and pay someone to build these things. It's like, you know, I like building them myself. You know, it's not like complete off the wall crazy shit, but it's functional shit. You know what I mean? Like, doing something that's a little bit different without fucking going broke. Like that 62 Impala that I had that was all air rated out. Like, maybe at the end of the day, I might have had like $6,000 in that car. And like, that thing would get, you know how many old ladies would come up to me at gas stations and be like, this is the first car I ever drove in. Like, all right, how many times do you get railed in the back seat?
No, that is true, man. I'm over here, got a little 65 C10. I'm trying to put in as little as I can to it. So not as little as I can, but sometimes that's the fun. Throwing money, all the money at it is cool and all, but it's not always, you know, working on it, wrenching on it, being creative, thinking outside the box a little bit is the creative side for me as well. You know, there's something you and I probably then are on that same level where we're garage guys. You like to wrench on stuff. You like to take stuff apart and see how it works and put it back together and build stuff and create something and tear something down that looks like total shit and then make it look like a functioning machine that looks fucking nice and shit going down the road. You know, there's certain
Yeah.
you're definitely like me in that aspect, man. So it's good getting to know you and understand you a little bit more. You know, I had an idea. Not every, you know, you can kind of, there's certain things that you can judge a book by its cover for, and then there's other things you can't. You're not a white collar guy. You're not a weekend type dude, man. You look like I don't know, you look like a blue collar guy. You know, you look like a guy that I would walk up to at a bar and say, "What's up, man?" If I was a smoker, I'd probably ask you if I can bum a cigarette or something. You know, you know, you got that look kind of to you and shit. You know, so
Yeah. So I don't
sorry,
know.
man.
It's been a lifestyle,
It
you know.
it it's it sounds like it sounds like it has been, man. So in that sense, I want you to fucking, you know, keep banging the miles on the racing league and shit, man. When is the next one? Are you going to be healed up for it and shit, or what's the deal?
Uh, the next one's in Daytona. Like, October 13th. So I don't even know. I don't even know. Like I've never had a broken bone before, so I don't know how fast this heals.
And what
And
and what's up with the bike? What's the status and the condition of the bike? It's the bike.
I don't know. I probably did like 10 grand in damage to it. Smashed my pipe, carbon fiber bags smashed on one side, carbon fiber fairing smashed, and I had a nice paint job on it and shit. Just scratches, but like at the last race, like I wrecked it in practice. We fucking zip tied and duct taped it back together for the race. So like if I got to do that, like it didn't stress me out none. Like whatever shit happens, I know it's all part of it. So like
Track
if I want
days
to
are
make the bike rideable, for the race, throw a day or two at it, and I can straighten up some of the broken shit and get a little bit more because we just fixed it at the track.
so it's running right now.
Yeah, it's running rideable, all that stuff. Yeah, like right before this last track day, like I rode the thing to Sturgis, like having the bike I raced, and then I put it back in the street trim, and I did a 3,000-mile trip to it in Sturgis and back. Like I still have a street setup motor. Like I'm an 11.5-to-1 compression, so just premium fuel, and she's fucking happy. But these other guys are on full race fuel on their race bikes, and so I'm like dancing that line of, streetable yet trackable,
Yeah.
So
Well, that's why
I
you
have
almost you do need two bikes if you run that type of shit. If you're gonna run street, you need one that you can kind of run on the street, and then one that you can just tune and put and focus for a race shit. Because a race bike is so simplistic. It's so stripped down to nothing.
right.
Street, you need turn signals, you
Yeah,
need
like
everything on it.
yeah, I could benefit so much if I just decided that was a full-on race bike. But shit, that bike has 77,000 miles on it. I've owned it since brand new. Like I got so many memories on it. It's hard to just be like, all right, this is just strictly a race bike now. And when I wad it up on the track and it just comes, well, we could save the motor out of it, but the frame's totaled and the fucking front end's totaled and everything else totaled. Like that one's gonna hurt a little bit. So
Yeah, no,
I'm
I
still
get
just
that.
dancing with that.
Sentimental value to it, but if you're going to be out there banging on the track, shit happens, man. And if you want to be out there riding on the street, shit happens on the track. You still want to be riding.
Yeah, I still like getting sketchy on the street. That shit's fun.
Did I lose you?
No, I'm still here.
Fuck, man, this thing's fucking up over here on me.
Need to upgrade that equipment.
I lost you now. Can you? I can't hear you.
I can hear you. You unplugging shit on me?
No, I'm trying to make sure I didn't unplug anything, and then I hit the damn whatever. I'm a few beers in, man. I'm a few beers in and a few tokes in and shit, man. So I'm feeling good on that aspect. Well, Steve, what I do fucking wish you well in, homeboy. I don't want to I know it's a little bit later over where you're at, and I'm going to go kick it with my wife and shit, man. I wanted just to sit down, have a small little conversation with you, get to know you a little bit more and shit, better understanding of you. I think that's what us as men should be able to do, is have a little bit more, or not have a little bit more, but be able to, if we have differences of opinion, and I guess it's fair to say that I have that and shit. You just live a different vibe. You live a different lifestyle of it. You're definitely more on the party scene. You're the pit viper wearing fucking mullet dude, partying, drinking, smoking, white clawing fucking guy. That's your personality. That's your vibe. But aside from all that shit, you're a fucking dude that gets down, that rides, that puts down the miles, that goes to the track, that puts in the hustle to get his ass to the track and everything. And you've lived a lifestyle from, like, not for me, not like you need a credit for me or anything, but you've done this shit from get-go and shit, man. So it's nice to get to understand you and know you better in that aspect.
Yeah, like I don't have anything to prove to anybody but myself, most of the time. Like that's all I care about, as long as I'm, striving to learn something new every day and, do new shit. That's all I care about. So, wherever aspect I'm in life at the time, if I'm in motorcycles or cars or, anything that's, got my jollies. That's what I like,
I'm with you, man. I'm with you, homeboy. Well, hey, man, I'm gonna let you roll. I appreciate you coming and kicking back for a little bit and having this conversation. When you coming out this way, maybe what's your next time? Well, we should get together, have a little beer, have a little drink or something like that. When's the next time you're out towards the west?
I don't know. The only time I've ever like rode a motorcycle in Cali was when I raced at Sonoma. So the
Okay.
farthest west that I've ever ridden was like Las Vegas. So I
Okay.
need to make a Cali trip one of these days. Honestly, I just need to go buy a new bike for, something that's a little bit more streetable.
I on the what I was Jace was down here. I don't even remember. I do remember because it was Father's Day. He was down here for Father's Day, and we sat down here and did a podcast and shit. And we were talking about the camp out then. He was giving like I think they had just done one or something like that recently. Uh Leading up to our podcast, so there was it was going to be another year, but maybe at that, are you an attendee of that on a regular? Because what I was thinking of doing, what we were talking about on that podcast was I don't know that I would be there for the full 3 or 4 days or however long it is that it goes on, but it sounds like something where I can like plan like a nice long trip or something and spend the night there one night, hang out, bullshit, meet some people, talk to some people, and then continue my trip on down the road and go and on my road trip and shit.
Yeah, so like I've been to all of his camp outs. Like that's kind of like one of the starting places, I guess, when I, got a little known or whatever, was his first camp out. I blasted 1,000 miles down there on Friday. Got there like 3 in the morning, went out, rode my ass off, fucking basically just, you know, put a bunch of dynas and shit to shame, had some fun on the road. And then I woke up Sunday morning, blasted out at 8 a.m., fucking rode all the way back to Michigan, 1,000 miles, and I went back to work on Monday. So I've been to all of them. This last one was only like 500 miles away. The weekend after was my first race of the year. I just finished that 103 that I built with the purple wheels, and my test ride on that bike, I rode it down the road like a mile, and I said, all right, everybody left for the camp up the day before, and I said, I'm not ready. I was waiting on some parts, and they came. And then, so my test ride on that bike was 500 miles to the camp out, and hung out for a day, and I was like, shit, my race bike's not done. I got to go home. So I just partied for one night, turned around, went home this year, and then fucking, nice 1,000 mile break in on a brand new build for that one. And I think the only thing the fuck even happened to it? I don't know. I lost the
Nothing
seat bolt.
is usually, I mean, shit, that's a 500. You always have when you put a bike together. So that was the first, that was obviously the shakedown. Usually, and if not, fucking, hey, good for you. But usually there's something that's going to happen in the shakedown, Miles. Something's going to fall apart.
Yeah, I lost the seat bolt.
That was it.
So yeah, that was it. Was I lost the seat bolt on it?
That's simple, man. Well,
Dude, that was like fucking, the race bike before I did Sonoma. I fully rebuilt the motor, changed, suspension on it, went to mid controls, did all this shit. And then I went and had it dyno tuned, fucking didn't work on it all at the dyno, and then went out and raced it the full weekend and didn't have to work on it at the track at all, and fucking went and raced and placed fifth out in Sonoma. So,
how was
yeah,
it work?
like,
What'd you think of, you're obviously your bike is newer. What's it? Do you like, the older platform? Cause you said it was an 03, right?
yeah,
So skinny tire, small tire, different suspension, different front end, different type of system and everything. I mean, what are that's more my, not my era, but I'm the twin cam. Is your bike's an M8, right? Your race bike?
yeah. My 2018's M8,
Yeah, that's
but
an M8.
that 03, that dude, they're fun bikes. Like, I built that one for that silver and black road glide for that skinny tire bagger build off in Daytona, and I ended up winning that show in it. Like my shakedown run, I got that bike done. I sent it off to paint on Monday. I got a picture that the paint was done on Tuesday. It got delivered on Wednesday. We put it on the dyno on Thursday. And Thursday at 5 o'clock at night, I rode it 1,150 miles straight through to Daytona and was drinking beer fucking in Daytona at 3 p.m. fucking Friday. And I ended up blowing. The only thing that happened to that one is I blew a speedometer fuse. And then I figured out because I did the gauge relocation up top, and then I lost the screws that went in the speedo, and I put too long of screws in the speedo, and I think it touched the back of it. So I ended
Oh,
up just that, and like that was the only issue I had in that bike that whole trip. So normally, like I don't know, I kind of got a saying. I'm like, build a bike like you're gonna, do 1,000 miles the day, it's finished, and then just go do it. And I've done that, multiple times with shit like, you know, doing it with that bike straight 1,150 miles with no sleep through the night. And then, my race bike, when I rebuilt the motor and did all these changes, and it was like, get it done, and then just went and raced it. That '03, I get it done. Like, I'm meticulous as fuck when I put shit together, and I think things all the way through, so I don't have issues. I'm not the type of guy that goes, oh, that's good enough, I'll fix it later. I'm like, all right, I got time now, I'm just going to do it now. Like,
yeah.
we're going to make sure shit's right. So,
Do it right the first time, right?
yeah. And, that is a personal thing. Like that's kind of like my personal claim to fame, to me is like when I put shit together, when I do shit, like I make sure it's right and it should fucking work, I might do some little experimental shit and sometimes shit don't always pan out as planned, but I want to make sure to the best of my ability that motherfucker's gonna rock.
Yeah. Sometimes, yeah, no, I fuck with you on that. Sometimes it's sometimes you're gonna late night shit like that, but go over your work the next day. Make sure that
Right.
you went back, tightened every fucking
Yeah.
bolt, did all that shit.
Yeah. Even when I set down the wrenches that night and you go inside, you still do that checklist in your head. And you're just like, did I do that? Did I do that? Did I do that? Oh fuck, I forgot that. I should write that down.
I got a whiteboard over here where fucking it's like when I got a project, and that's exactly what I do before I go to bed or whatever it is. If a thought pops into my mind like, oh, I got to do that, I go over to the board and I'll write that shit down before I forget, and then you just
Yeah,
slowly
that.
start picking them off
Or
and shit.
throw a fucking piece of tape on an axle that you didn't tighten down completely.
Yep.
Fucking just so when you go back, what the fuck's that tape for? And you're like, because I didn't fucking tighten it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
stupid shit like that.
Dumb shit like
You
that.
know,
My buddy taught me shit like that. My dad, where you just if you're putting your primary together, you just put it all together. Like you said, a little piece of tape right there, no fluid. Fucking remind
yeah,
yourself there's no fluid in that bitch before like little
you,
tricks of the trade, I guess, so to speak, or things that you
yeah,
kind of teach yourself sort of, along the way as you're working on shit. I'm like you, man. I like to get my hands dirty, and I think that people should not be afraid, I guess, to dive into their stuff a little bit more. I understand. I always say it's not for everybody, but I mean, even when I did it the very first time, you can probably agree. The very first time that I did it, yeah, it's nerve wracking. Like, cause you're rolling. It's a rolling death machine, and if you didn't put something together correctly, then you're gonna kill yourself or something. So yeah, it is nerve wracking. I get that the very first time you do it, but it's nuts and bolts, right? I mean, it's really what it comes down to. It's nuts and bolts that
yeah,
come apart and they turn left or they turn right and they only go a certain way and shit. And like, you just got to look at stuff and kind of figure it out. So, and the more that you do it, the more obviously the more comfortable you'll be at it. But I guess the advice I would give people, maybe you the same, is don't be afraid to go in and turn a wrench. Obviously, the very first time you don't need to be trying to do a cam job the very first time you try and go work on a motorcycle or anything. But don't be afraid to go and change out the stupid bulbs on your turn signals or whatever, your headlight or something like that. Start somewhere.
yeah,
Just go in there and
yeah.
go in there and start doing it.
I've learned so much shit from fucking up. I fucked up a lot of my own shit.
Yeah.
You learn sometimes it's cheap fuck up, sometimes it's a really expensive one. You know,
Yep.
but if you throw a little bit of fucking knowledge at shit, like you'll be surprised. Like sometimes you start thinking shit through. You know,
And like if you're serious about it and if you really want to make sure that you're doing something not necessarily right, but you at least want a direction book, then they make a thing called the service manual that shows you every stinking thing about the motorcycle. You can go and look up and buy one and like read exactly how to do whatever it is that you have to do. You still need the tools for it. Don't get me wrong. It's not going to fucking just be like, oh, do this, do that. But I mean, shit, at least you have something, and YouTube for fuck's sake. That's what we're on right now. Fuck, YouTube is a plethora of information, man.
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
because I had that, like my YouTube channel, like showing people the shit that they haven't seen before, with performance baggers and, putting all that shit out there in my videos.
Are you on YouTube more? I gotta right now. What I'm
I
using YouTube for is really just for stuff like this a little bit. I was uploading some videos and I uploaded a couple of like how tos and stuff, but I would like to use it more. Are you pretty active on it, like
I
vlogging or anything? I don't know. What do you do on it mostly?
I had like a good 2 year stretch where I was like really active. Um, but shit, dude, I don't know, just with as busy as I am, and then taking on everything, and then it's like I'd film my own videos, edit them, try to upload them. Like I haven't uploaded in 10 months. People give me shit all the time. Like I had a decent little follower base with it, like 10,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel. But I've been making money on YouTube since like 2009. So, a little bit here and there. I first
How do
got
you make money
monetized
on
in like
YouTube?
2000.
I'm trying to get to that shit. How do you make money on YouTube?
So like when you see it when they put ads on your videos,
Hmm.
like Google pays me to do that. So
Oh, like after so many views, they'll put it in
yeah.
front
So
of
like
people, or they'll put
so
ads
like my
in it.
yeah. So I can control the ads where I want the ads and everything, and then I just get a little check from that for every time someone clicks on them, or full watch time. And then like I make money on Instagram Reels, right now. So
Hmm.
um,
How the fuck you make money on Instagram Reels? Just advertising the shit?
just post cool shit, live a cool life, dude.
Yeah, but how do you make money off of it though? Like who pays you? I guess
Uh,
ultimately that's what I'm saying. Who pays you?
with Instagram, the check comes from Facebook. So Facebook owns Instagram. So like when I get my check for Instagram Reels, technically it comes from Facebook. Uh, I've made like $500 a month, doing that stuff, just posting reels. I try to keep them like legit. Like I'm not like a person when I post a reel, like I try to get too cringy unless I think it's fucking hilarious. And I'll run someone's trend if it's fucking. I'm like, oh, I got a perfect video already in my phone and I can like run on this trend with it. But if not, like I don't try to get too cringy with that. Like that's one thing that I struggle with the YouTube and the Instagram reels and the getting paid for it is like I guess feeling like a sellout, where it goes like it no longer feels real because you're just trying to make money on it. I was like, all right, you want to pay me some for, the shit I'm already kind of doing it. But if like I'm not being me when I'm doing this shit, I don't give a fuck about it. Like I ain't doing it. And
Yeah.
then so I don't know. I try to keep what I post real. I had a guy that walked up to me years ago when he met me, and he's like, "Dude, you're the same person in person as you portray online." Fucking, and like that was like still like one of those comments that just stuck with me for all these years. Where
Yeah.
it's just like I want to when people meet me in person, they don't go, "Oh, he's just a fucking dickhead or something like that." Like I might be a little standoffish because I'll be honest with you, unless I got a couple beers in me, I'm still a shy dude. Like I'm not like, people will walk up to me and like if you're the first guy and you walk up to me and you shake my hand, like I'll probably hang out by you and talk to you for a fucking hour because like you broke the ice. But I'm not always the person that'll go break the ice with someone else, and it's nothing against him. I could still be a shy dude. I could put all this shit out on Instagram. I'm still hidden behind my phone when I put the shit on Instagram.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, like I'm still, yeah, you know what I mean. So
No, I know what you mean. I get this. I guess I get the same, and that shit is still weird to me. I don't know about for you, but it's weird to me when somebody that I don't know recognizes me from something like this. It's just still
yeah,
like awkward. It's not natural at all for me. And I don't know like if it ever is natural for anybody, even from I guess from a celebrity's perspective, you get used to it, but it's awkward to me still, man. And but I appreciate the shit out of it. And but I that comment right there when people do come up and say something and they're like, hey man, you are who you are, that it doesn't speak volumes, but at least I know, like, oh well, that's who I am. I'm being authentic.
yeah,
Authenticity, I guess, kind of shines through in shit, and everybody sees it in different lights at different times, and in different ways, and so to speak. But if if you are who you are behind the screen, then there's no front or there's anything that you have to put on off the screen. You're just
Yeah,
fucking,
exactly. You're not
you are.
like, oh, what did I tell this person that I bullshitted them about that I got to remember because they're around, or if you just stay true to yourself, next thing you know, you can just be yourself around everybody,
Yeah.
and either they like you or they don't,
Yeah. I
So
think
like,
that's
I try
it.
not to. So I try not to get too caught up in like internet drama. I know we've had our little fair share of that shit. And I'm just kind of the dude when I'm like, all right, it's no longer benefiting me, or it's just getting weird. Like I just go silent on it. I just go, you want to talk about it, talk. If somebody like, if it seems like that big of a deal, people will reach out to you personally. But
Yeah.
I'm not I guess poster, reposter, try to fight, via a spectrum of an audience. Like, you want
Yeah.
to be man to man? You want to talk to me like man to man? Cool, I'll do that. But
Yeah.
if you want to fucking like put it out there and try to shame on someone, like, I'm not fucking about that, you know?
I feel you on that, man. But on the flip side of it, from me coming from my background and like I said, with different experiences, different backgrounds, different places that different people you grew up around. When I have, I'm also come from a side where if you got something to say it. Now, yeah, there's publicly and then there's privately, of course. Sometimes you got to chirp it from the back of the room and shit, and that's just the way that it fucking was for me growing up in the way that I fucking grew up, in the hood that I grew up in and shit. Sometimes you chirp it from the back. So I guess you're right in that sense. Sometimes it just becomes like, hey, let it go, let bygones be bygones. Sometimes the manhood, I guess you can say that comes out more and more in others than not. But that's why we have conversations like this. That's why we talk. That's why we chat. That's why it's good to sit down and have a beer with you. You still drinking them White Claws, by the way, man? You still on them White Claw tip?
Nah, I'm on a vodka mule tonight. I don't know if you ever
Vodka
had
Mule.
Moscow Mule. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
it's like a Moscow Mule. It's
Okay.
like kind of
No,
like
no, no.
my
I,
little
I, I
go-to.
dig I dig Moscow mules, man. It's if I go to the
Yeah,
bar and I don't know really what to get, Moscow Mule is kind of like, that sounds like a good
dude, it's
little.
just a good little go-to, especially when you get the little tin cups and
Yeah, you get a little copper.
fucking
Yeah.
nice.
Yep.
Yeah, nice little sipper.
So are you off of the White Claw stuff? Or I mean, not that I'm just, and I bust people's balls. My friends still bust balls and shit, man. But it's you like
Um,
me and anything else, man. It's
Still
in
there?
funny
Lose you?
games a little bit. It's a little jab, but it's not in like a fucking harmful way or anything. It's not a drink for me.
Yeah, and like it's just kind of hilarious to me because it all started out as a fucking joke. Because there was that Trevor Wallace comedian. I don't know if you know who it is. He's like a little blonde, skinny dude, and he
Uh-uh.
made like you've probably seen a video of him. It's fucking comedian dude, but he made like a comedy video that said "Ain't no laws, you're drinking claws." And then I was at a campground at my buddy's, and he's like, "Oh, you want a beer or whatever?" Like he had a bunch of shit in the cooler, and like I seen people drinking White Claws, and I just grabbed one out. I was like, "I'll give this a shot." And I think I put it on my Instagram story, and I was like, "Ain't no laws when you're drinking claws." And dude, shit just fucking went south over that. Like it was fucking hilarious. And then you'd go a place and like, dude, people would come up with fucking a 12 pack of White Claw, and they're like, "Here, I bought this for you because you drink White Claw." And like, fucking, dude, it was literally like just a little stupid joke that went way too far. But I'm a grown ass man. I can drink whatever the fuck I want. If I want to
Absolutely.
if I want to drink beer, I drink beer. If I want to shoot whiskey, I shoot whiskey. If I want to fucking have a Jaeger bomb, I do a Jaeger bomb or a vodka mule. Like I'll go up
Amen
against
to that, man.
anybody shotgunning a beer. You want to shotgun a fucking 24-ounce beer? I'll kick your ass. Like I'm fucking like you want to take a straight pitcher of beer and fucking put her down the hatch? Oh yeah, I'll do it. Like I've had
Uh,
my fair share of drinking, over the years and partying. So like at this point,
Fuck
I
me,
don't even
man.
get phased.
Right way to go about it. I know what you mean, man. I'm a grown ass man. I can drink whatever the fuck I want. You're absolutely fucking right. You're a grown ass man. You drink whatever the fuck you want. It's more of just busting balls. You know how guys are when they're
Oh
fucking
yeah,
around. talking shit. You know, it's busting balls. It's a little bit of a jab because if you listen to any comedian or anything like that, there's always a little bit of truth. There's always something behind every type of fucking joke, no matter what it is. It stems from something, but it's not in a disrespectful, harmful way. If I have a fucking friend that's holding a Zima or something like that, I'm gonna fucking talk some shit to him or something. I don't know, you know, like it's just a
Fucking
little
Zima.
yeah. See, that's what like White Claws, I guess, kind of remind me of, like that wine cooler beer type thing. They just and it's
Yeah.
and they're sweet. Not that I'm not drinking anything that's not sweet or anything or different tasting, but it's just the bubbly and the flavor stuff, man. Man, that shit just got me like sugar and all that shit. It was like drinking a I don't know what are those not Sex on the Beach. What are those fucking blue ones? No, Adios motherfuckers, man. It's like drinking one of them fucking type all
Right.
sugar and shit.
Yeah. So I don't know. I drink it all. I have beers, fucking Micheladas, fucking Dos Equis, fucking all this
Oh,
shit. Like
micheladas, not micheladas, man. Come on.
Michelada.
Yeah, there we go.
Man,
See, we gotta
fucking
get that
look at the
little.
color of my skin. I don't know.
That's why I got to get you up to the game. We'll get you up to the par a little bit. You know.
Yeah.
Hey, what
Fucking,
brand do you smoke, man? How long you been smoking?
American Spirits. I got hippie cigarettes.
I had
Fucking I don't
I
know.
used to work for a water company, man. I used to work for Arrowhead. Anyways, I used to work for them, and there was a guy, it was a Lebanese guy, man, and he introduced me. At the time, I was smoking cigarettes, and he introduced me to American Spirits. I don't remember what the difference was. Maybe you do, but I remember his pack being yellow. What's the yellow? What's the yellow pack? Is there a
Uh,
difference?
so like the blue that I just showed you is like a full flavor, and then the yellow I think would be like a light,
Oh, okay.
like a mid. Like if these were like Marlboro Reds, I think those would be like the golds,
Okay.
and
Dude, my
then
butt.
like,
How much are
or they'd be like
cigarettes?
this. I don't know. I don't pay attention. I'll buy just cigarettes. They're probably like $10 a pack.
Fuck, man, their shit's expensive now, man. I thought it was expensive when I was smoking. Six
Yeah,
sixes.
I don't know. But like the way American spirits are, fucking, they put like more tobacco in them. You don't pack them, and I'm a slow smoker. I talk a lot when I smoke, so fucking, or I put them out halfway. So
How
like,
long you been
it is
smoking
what it
for?
is.
You smoke a
I
long
don't know.
time?
I don't know. I probably started when I was like 19, 20. I
Yeah, I
started on
haven't.
cigars. I started on
Really?
black and mild cigars. That's what I started smoking back when I like smoked weed, fucking whatever. So I'd smoke some weed, fucking freak them out, put half weed, half the cigar back in it, be sitting at a bonfire around everybody, smoking one of those. Like nobody's gonna ask to fucking take a toke off it from you. You know, you're just fucking getting high by yourself.
Cigars to cigarettes. Usually it's cigarettes to cigars, but you kind of
Yeah,
went the other way around there, I guess.
yeah. I don't know.
Which
It's just something to do.
yeah, I did smoke for probably like 10 years or so, man. And it was more
Yeah.
of the people that I guess I was what would do it for me is the people I was hanging out with and shit. I was always like, if I hung out with them, I'd smoke a cigarette and shit. I wanted a cigarette. And then once I stopped hanging around with them as much, and I realized I didn't need. I also went to that vape shit. Have you ever tried any of that shit, like at all?
A couple times. I didn't fuck with it.
No, it
Like,
did get. Well, if you're not interested in quitting, then it's fucking irrelevant and shit. But if you
yeah,
did,
I don't know what's worse, vaping or drinking White Claws. So
touche and fair. But I used the vaping to fucking get me off of the cigarettes, which it eventually did. So, in those terms, I guess it did its job, kind of, sort of, maybe. I don't fucking know.
yeah,
Fair
yeah,
enough.
yeah. Once you get a White Claw hangover, you kind of consider like quitting drinking.
Why is it fucking even worse
Oh,
than a
dude, it's
beer
terrible. You
hangover?
guaranteed, like, if you drink 12 White Claws and fucking that, you're gonna be pretty toasted, and you're gonna fucking wake up with a shitty ass hangover for sure.
Yeah, it's the sugar and all that shit in them, man. I think that's what it is. It gets you all
Yeah,
fucked up in the stomach.
yeah, probably.
Yeah,
This is
yeah.
not as bad as like whiskey cokes and shit though.
I
It's
like
not as much
whiskey, man.
sugar.
My old man got me into the reason when he passed, man. We would have Jack Daniels here and there, but I don't know. After he passed, Jack Daniels was his thing. So after he passed, I don't know. Jack Daniels is kind of now like, if I know it ain't anything good, it ain't anything fancy or anything at all, but if I'm gonna have a little whiskey, I guess that's what I turn to now. My stepbrothers are kind of one of them's a little bit of a whiskey snob. He's like, you smell that? It's like got vanilla, and you can tell that it's. I'm like, I don't know, man. It tastes like whiskey to me. Fucking like, fucking down
Yeah.
the hatch, home. He's like, you taste
You're
this
not
one
supposed
now.
to drink it that fast. You're like, don't fucking tell me what to do.
Yeah, that's what he fucking said. He's like, hey, you're supposed. Did you taste it? I'm like, yeah, it tastes like whiskey. He's like, try this one. What is it? It tastes like fucking whiskey, man. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. No, I'm down for it all. Fucking, been around the block, fucking whatever. So I always laugh at, people that give you shit over it.
Yeah, it's just busting balls, man. What's up with the side covers, dude? I wanted to ask you, I mean, that stems from where? Like where did that kind of take off?
So it all just kind of started like fucking, being in Michigan in the winter, you can't fucking ride. So what do? You just build your bike. And so it's like every night just in the garage, something. And it all started out with a fucking cardboard template, just cutting up some cardboard. And then I went and bought a TIG welder. Like I know how to fucking TIG weld. And I was like, I want to learn how to TIG weld. So I went and bought a TIG welder, a bottle, mask, all that shit. And then my buddy, he had stainless from his work, scrap stainless. So he brought home a couple like scrap stainless doors that were for some machines for his work. And then we just kind of traced my cardboard template and ended up making a set. And then I made the first set just for my bike. And I was like, all right. And then somebody else like, dude, I need those. My buddy Sketchy Glide, who has a FXRT fairing on his 2014 Street Glide. He's like, dude, I need those. I'm putting this RT fairing on my bike. It's like, all right, I'll make another set. Like, fucking whatever. And then another dude seeing them, he's like, I need a set. Like, I don't care. Like, just that. I'm like, okay. And then that My Garage Ventura was building that CVO, the red and silver. Those were the first four sets. And then I was like, all right, I'm kind of done, whatever. And then you just start hearing people like, where'd you buy it? Where'd you buy it? Where'd you buy it? Where'd you buy it? So I'm like, shit, dude. And then, so I ended up kind of streamlining the process because the first ones were like cut out with a fucking cutoff wheel, just hand done, hand bent. And then I got them all CAD drawn up. And then I get them laser cutted, as blanks that are, to my specifications. And just kind of ran with it. And then now that's my sole money, my business. I didn't know that it was going to turn into, $250,000 plus so far, over a couple of years, and it allows me to have freedom. I can come out, I can bust my ass for 2 weeks and bust out a bunch of sets, get a little stock, get caught up, and then still providing shit to people. Like fucking people still dig them. It's just kind of something I came up with on my own mind, and then basically taught myself how to, because when I first started it, my roommate was TIG welding them, and then I would sand them all, box them, ship them, do the logistics, the website, fucking everything. And then when I moved out from Michigan to Texas, basically I was like, he made 10 sets before I left, and then he was like, kind of, I was still pretty green to TIG welding. I was like, either I figured this out or this is done. And then I ended up just kept practicing on the TIG welding and, just got it done. So pretty proficient in it now and kind of self-taught in the TIG welding and whatnot. So
Are you going to expand it
that's
or anything, man? Like, is it just going to kind of stay side covers? Are you going to try and is a plan to take it to different areas
I
of
got,
fabrication, parts?
yeah, I got other product ideas that I want to make happen. Um, and I'm working towards it. It's just, I guess the logistics, the fucking money. Um,
Well, if it's
I
making you
had that.
fucking 250K, it sounds like you can it sounds like you can dump into it.
Yeah. So it's just making it happen and just making sure what I come out with and I come up with is the best to my ability and it's a good product because I don't want to put out shit. I get really excited when like I go to a race and somebody's wearing my fucking name on a shirt, and then they're rocking my products, and I see three bikes in a row with my products on it. Fucking dude, you get so stoked. Like, I don't know, it's just you're sitting there like, fucking, I made that. And then so like if anything I do put out, I want it to be, the best that I can do. Like you go on a Facebook, group, and somebody's like, I'm looking for an FXR style side cover, and then you have 15 comments in a row. They're like, Screaming Speed Fab, Steve Chamberlin, Screaming Speed Fab.com, fucking da, 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 da. They go down like, these are the only guys that you should buy them from. Like, I think that speaks volumes too. So like, I think I've had, I don't know, all the sets that I've put out there, like one person that wasn't happy when he got them. And I was like, okay, sorry.
You can't, yeah, you can't satisfy everybody. No. When you're going to business, of course, the business owner wants to satisfy every single one of their customers, but there's always going to be one or two, or there's always going to be somebody,
Yeah.
But on the other side of it, if you do what you do and you have a good product, you have a good price for it, and you have a fan base or a customer base is the better way to put it. You have a customer base that can speak for itself, then I have a buddy of mine has a restaurant here in town. Their family has been has been in business for probably over 30 years, Mexican restaurant. They own 2 different locations. They are very good. The restaurant is always busy every single day, lunchtime, dinner time, all that shit. It's pick up to go Mexican style food and all that shit. They've never advertised once, not in the phone book, not in the newspaper, none of that shit, man. And you drive by that place and every single day it's full. Why? Because product speaks for itself, right? People are gonna if nobody's gonna keep coming back for shitty food, they're gonna fucking come back because it's good or it's better or people tell somebody else about it, And so when that happens to you, then that it's because you put out a good product, and quality is not hard to find these days. There's so many fucking companies that put out quality, but like the care and the craftsmanship that like you're talking about, the attention to detail, you're a one-man band shop. So you got control of everything from beginning to end. So you have a little bit more stringent of a quality control process than maybe some other places may have, and you just want a good product to go out. Anybody that fabricates anything, whether you're a painter, a tattoo artist, a guy that makes side covers, whatever it may be, when they put their product out, they want it to be the best that they can possibly be because they want people to go, where the fuck you get that? I want fucking a set of those, So you have to put that shit out.
And like, dude, I get so stoked. Like, even just when, customer gets them and they put them on their bike or they, paint to match them or, do their own little flair on it and they tag me in a picture on my business Instagram, my personal Instagram. Like, every time I see that, like, I still get those little butterflies in the stomach. I'm like, dude, I'm fucking doing that. Cause like I said, life's always about like the fucking challenges and just trying to do it. So it's like, when I decided I finally wanted to do that, and then now finally seeing it pretty much succeed, where I can do this, is it going to last forever? No, not unless I change shit up, but it's been lasting and, keeping me afloat now. So, like, right. I'm not trying to rip people off with what I do. Like, I feel like my price point is still, pretty on par with the amount of hours that I throw into these things. Some people,
what is the set of your? Can I ask? What does the set of your covers go for?
$540.
Okay, and they're made out of stainless. You said they're stainless.
Yeah, they're stainless. They're stainless. So I offer them so they can be like sanded. I also offer them so they're grained, so they look like your stainless steel refrigerator that has all the lines in it. Or gotcha. I'll do them in polished, or I also do them in like a black powder coat, and then. I never really wanted to get into the paint matching side of it just because if, between shipping it, everything, I go to people, I'm like, dude, you're a local painter. Like if you grab like, you cut the mullet off your bike and you bring it in, you're like, hey, I wanted this, this red. Them guys can paint match that shit. They're fucking awesome. You're dealing with them straight on that. So if I like try to do a paint matching service and I ship it to you, and it's 2 shades off, now my product's a piece of shit because the paint sucked. And I didn't even do the paint. You know what I mean? So I just try to like at first, like, you know, it was like you can match black. Black's fucking black, you know. But you try to get in the other aspects of that, and I'm like, I just don't know if it's worth it. You know, the stress, the the extra step, and so I kibosh that right from the get go. People are like, you should do that. I'm like, yeah, it's awesome until it's not. You know?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. No, it sounds like a great less is more, like what they say.
Yeah,
So the less options, not necessarily that you can offer, because every person wants to offer as many options as they can. But in your case, the more options you offer, the more headache that it brings on. So,
yeah.
fuck
So
that
like,
shit.
I want somebody they get it, and they're super stoked on it, and then I have multiple painters that have come up to me and they're like, dude, these things are such a breeze to paint, like minimal body work, basically prime them, block them, spray them, just that type of shit. And I get stoked over that because before I even like ship them out the door, I'm super anal about stuff. I don't like I don't want somebody to like get something and not be stoked on it, or if it's not too, like when I do like the black powder coating, I just try to like go to people and I'm like, it's not base coat, clear coat. It's going to look like how your frame does. Your
Yeah.
frame might have a couple little imperfections in it here and there. That's how powder coating is. Like, you want absolutely like depth of that. You got to do base coat, clear coat. It's paint. You know what I mean? The rest of your bike's paint. But if you're like, hey, I want it black, but my old lady's going to scratch her boots on them, so fucking the powder coating's going to be a little bit more durable. I'm like, that's your fucking option, dude. That's what I can do.
Yeah.
So
They're nice. They're nice looking side covers. I've seen them. I run. I'm running Big Bears on
yeah,
mine. But I've seen your side cover. I don't even think I knew, because you mentioned Jim down here in my garage. I don't even think I paid attention or rarely recognized them, I guess, in that sense, that those were the ones on his bike. Because that bike that you're talking about, or I know that the bike you're talking about, that turbo CVO, is
yeah,
the one that he had him on. So that was an early adopter, I guess, of them. Sounds like he was one of the
yeah.
ones
So
get the first
yeah,
one.
that would have been 2019.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I
I rode
made
that I
those.
rode that bike. It was that turbo bike. Yours is a supercharger. His was a turbo. Supercharger fucking spools up, or
So like my V Rod was a supercharger. So a supercharger is engine driven. So it's like literally a
okay, there we
physically a belt that drives an impeller that shoves air, and then a turbo is exhaust driven. So what comes out
there
of
we
the
go.
exhaust spins a wheel connected to a shaft, another wheel shoves air in the motor.
I
So
drove I
a
rode
super
his I rode that with the turbo. He's got a fucking turbo on it, and I don't know if there was on your bike or on the with the supercharger, but is there a lag when you fucking like when you throttle it?
No, it's super linear as far as a supercharger goes. Like the power down low, and it was like on a graph, it'd just be like to red line.
Okay. Yeah, there was like a turbo delay. You'd throttle it, and then it'd kind of like, where is it? And then all of a sudden it'd kick in because that exhaust is coming back in and shut. What are you drinking now? What is that? Oh, Dos Equis? Hang on. A little flavor of
Popping the
everything, huh?
top on it, popping the top on it with a broken hand.
Oh, there you go. Shit. Well, don't break the fucking hand again.
Right. Getting fuckered.
Yeah, that turbo lag for me was a little I don't know, took some getting used to, I guess. I rode that bike one time. We were doing a show, and I think my bike was down, and I don't know why he agreed to let me take it, but he's like, "Emma, hey, can I ride that bike for the run that we're going to do?" We were going around doing some promo stuff and like going to hit some of the spots, and he's like, "Yeah, go ahead and take it." So I'm like, I've never ridden a turbo bike. So if someone lets you go and run a turbo bike or let you ride a $80,000 motorcycle, I guess you don't say no. You're like, all right, I'll be right back.
Right. Yeah. And then like with that turbo truck that I had, it was definitely different as far as anticipating the lag. So as far as turbos go, um, when the turbo's hot, it's gonna spool at a completely different like speed than when the turbo's cold. Like if I start my truck up, I leave the driveway, I floor it, right when I get to the road. turbo lag's going to be like pretty good. You know, it's going to be pretty slow, just fucking. But then you get it when the turbo's hot. Like if I went and did it, you know, left it, I threw a little heat in the turbo. You know, the air hates heat, so it's going to want to get in, get out, fucking get on with its life. So then you turn it around, you hit a U-turn, and then you floor it. That motherfucker's going to light up so fast. You know, it's crazy how it is. Like, and then another thing with that turbo truck that I learned is like, you know, like I'm coming down a straight road and then you have a slow, gradual hill. And like, you know, I didn't have like cruise control in the truck, but like you're holding 25% throttle going, you know, 55 miles an hour. You're just holding your foot right there. You know, you're holding a steady speed. And then when you hit the hill and you start loading that turbo down, it starts wanting to build boost. So like without even me like moving my foot, I would hit that bottom of that hill at 55 miles an hour. I'd crest that hill at 110. Like just because it would load the turbo down, it would spool it, make boost. You're like, I'm not giving it any more throttle. You know, it's gonna want more throttle, judging by the boost, the map, and the throttle position type of shit. But it's weird how turbos work. So that's why they kind of turbos have always like scared me a little bit as far as on a cornering bike. Like if you have a drag strip bike and you're going straight, like, all right, cool. But if that turbo lights weird when you're dipped down in a corner, fucking, you know, dragging a peg and it wants to break that rear tire loose because you don't have the heat in the tire, like, fuck, dude.
Is there anybody on the track that's running any form of turbo?
So Black Charlotte, one of those, the first guy that was in Performance Bagger, he came out of the turbo in the pro stock bagger class. He ended up hitting third place in this last one. And then Trask in the bagger GP.
That makes sense.
Was running a turbo. And then Trask actually introduced a new guy, Gunner the Cougar Killer or something like fucking, I don't know what his fucking nickname is, but they put a turbo bike in the pro stock class. And then, dude, this last race, he ended up missing all his practices. We went out for the race. He got started in dead last. And then I see him making his way through the field. I think we did 10 laps. And dude, I'm like getting winded. I'm missing shifts because like my fucking hand's broken. I'm trying not to use the clutch too much. I'm literally just, you know, revving and just banging a gear, you know, and I missed a couple shifts and I see him coming up and he's coming through the crowd. And we get to the last lap and like Trask had a video, whatever, and it shows the pass going across the straightaway out of the last lap. Instantly, I was pissed. I was like, this motherfucker ain't beating me. Like, I had such a gap between me and the next guy, you know. And then I ended up chasing him down. And, dude, I was dragging my right peg, riding the inside yellow line. Like, I know somebody has to have video of this shit. But riding the inside of the yellow line, just doing that. Literally going, are my tires going to hold? Like, type of fucking that full bore on it, and then I ended up losing to him by 0.3 seconds.
Oh,
so
shit.
He came all the way up in the field that last lap. Like, you know, I did my best lap of the day, the last lap of that race.
That's a turbo bike, you said, right?
That was a turbo 107. And then the dude that was running it has never ridden the bike before. You know, he's just a fucking 20-year-old kid that does like super motard racing. And then they just kind of threw him on this bike and said, hey, let's see what the fuck you can do. Like, you're a racer, you know, go out, have fun, you know.
Give him a little bit more. It's seat time, man. It's seat time, you know. I'm sure that I've never, you know, I've never been out on a track myself. And one of these days I will, even if it's just a track day to get out there and get a feel and throw my Harley around, throw my bike around or whatever it is out there on the track. But it's a different type of riding, right? I mean, it's a different ride from street riding to just fucking track riding. I mean, now you fill in the blanks, but I'm picturing it and I'm imagining it from seeing a track and riding in a canyon where you don't have oncoming traffic and you can fucking use the entire lane and there's a certain line that you fucking can take and shouldn't take, and you're going to run this corner 8 times during practice and shit. And you're going to be able to dial it in and figure out that's not the line. that is the line. A little faster, a little more, shit like that. You know, it's a completely different style of riding. When you're riding on the street, you can do all that shit, but when you're riding on the street, you also have to think about the stupid dumber motherfucker that's going to pull out from the curb in front of you, or the fucking dumbass that's not paying attention on their phone riding next to you at 80 miles per hour on the freeway. You take all of that shit out of the equation when it comes to riding on a track, and it's just straight up technical now. You are now just into eliminate all the other bullshit and just get down into the technical aspect of it, and which line is the best, how deep can I get into it, what gear do I need to be in at this turn, and all of that type of shit. It's a different level and completely different mindset and style of riding. Yes.
Yeah. And like, I don't want you to think I'm any pro at the track. Like, my first time on the track was the first Bagger Racing race. You know, I went and got my racing license that morning, Utah, June last year. And then I did one track day in Texas in like fucking September or something. And then I ended up racing in Sonoma. So that was my third time on the track, was Sonoma. My fourth time on the track was the race in Utah, and my fifth time on the track was the race in Milwaukee. So I've done one track day for practice in the middle of all this, but every other time it's just literally this race weekend. It's my only time I've ever been on track. Everything else is just getting sketchy on the street. So 100% understand where you're getting from, where you go, all right, so, you know, we're coming in this 35-mile-an-hour corner at 90. Like, I should probably drop it to 70 in the 35-mile-an-hour corner, you know, that type of shit. And oncoming traffic and gravel in the roads. Like, I love riding on the street aggressively, because to me, it's reading the road signs. It's reading the, you know, the terrain you're in. You know, I know Cali riders don't leave Cali, but different states, but like different states will mark corners differently. And I've noticed this over the years with all the states I've traveled to. So like, you get in Arkansas, and like you get to Arkansas where it says it's a 35-mile-an-hour corner, like, dude, you got to kind of start believing them. But then you'll get in like, you know, Michigan where it says a fucking 35-mile-an-hour corner. And you're like, dude, that's a fucking 85-mile-an-hour corner all day, you know, fucking type of thing. Like, different states will mark them kind of differently. You know, I've noticed over that, but I had to kind of throw that joke in there because that joke is still funny.
No, it is still funny. It is still funny. It's all right. We also don't have to leave this motherfucking place either, you know. But you're right though. Hey, it's a trip that you say that, because I thought the same thing when I'm taking a turn out here in Southern California. Only when I'm out here taking a fucking turn out here, I see a sign and it says 35 miles per hour, and I'm like, no, fuck that shit. I pretty much know that every sign out here in California, whatever it says, it's usually double. My
Except for, I'm gonna throw this out there, and I'm gonna cut you off. 20 to 25-mile-an-hour ones.
Okay.
Tend to believe those.
Okay.
Tend to believe those too.
Okay, that is a very valid point, and yes, those because those are fucking sharper turns. Believe those a little bit
like
more.
A fucking 90 degree.
Yeah.
So before anybody goes out and they're like, "Hey, the corner said 20, and I try to hit it at 40," I'm like, "Yeah, dude, you're already fucked."
Yeah, no. Yeah, and the cliff note to that rule or that logic is, I'd say the comfort level is nothing under 35. It's probably around the comfort level of where
35 is the threshold.
Yeah, about 35 would be the logic number of like, okay, anything below that, believe what it says, or at least cautiously. Anything above that, I found that out here, I can comfortably usually double that going into a turn. But
yeah,
you're right. I have seen other shit I have been to Nevada, I've been to Arizona, I've been to Montana, I've been to Idaho. I've been to, you know, even though we don't leave California, I have left the state of California.
I just had to throw that one out there because that was like a straw that broke the camel's back before our little Instagram feuds, and I thought it was fucking hilarious.
No, man, that's like I said with the White Claw shit, right? busting balls, talking shit, and that's a fair fucking thing to bust balls and talk shit about. I think that's a fair statement. On the contrary to it, though, fuck, man, look at where we live, man. Look at what we got
Right.
around us. It's hard. It's not hard to. Don't get me wrong. As a contrary to that, because I love it, and it's easy for me to go ride this today, and then go ride that tomorrow, and then go ride something else the next day because it's so close. Desert, mountains, beach, whatever, right? But as nice as it is, and as much as I enjoy it, and it's perfect, the weather's good, all that type of shit, all the elements are right. I'm an advocate because I like what you do in that sense because I enjoy that part of it when I can. My schedule and my life doesn't allow me to do it as often, but or as often as I used to is the best way to put it. But I still like getting the fuck out of here. And I still like going to see other shit that's not here. Yes, this is the perfect place to go and rip around on a Saturday and have some fun and meet all these people and see all these cool bikes. But there's a ton more shit that's fucking out there that I try my best, as from my side, being it and doing it, to tell people, hey, riding Mulholland is nice. Going to Neptune's is cool. Going to the Rock Store is dope. And those are all the hot spots and all that shit. But go and check out some other shit. Like, go really ride your bike for like a whole weekend. Just you and your bike for a weekend or 4 days or whatever it is that you can, because living your life on your bike for like 2 days at a time, I don't know, man. It's a feeling that you can't like replicate with anything else. It's just you and your bike type shit. It's just fucking you rocking with that shit. You're not worried about a car and shelter. I'm fucking on my bike for 3 days, and this is my mode of transportation. I'm an advocate for just getting out there and riding fucking miles. That's where I'm most at, I guess, peace and fun, where I'm just out somewhere where I don't know where I'm at, just middle of the road, just fucking. I'm like, how far am I in? I'm like 700 miles into this day. Pretty good day.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, that's one thing that, like, I've always thought about it personally. I haven't been too vocal on it, but like, you start to understand how people are and why people are the way they are when you start going into their neck of the woods. That's one thing I love about traveling. Like, you get in the middle of fucking Montana, there ain't shit around for anywhere, and you stop at a gas station and you see how people are, and you start talking to local people, and you start understanding that, they're not in the Southern Cali lifestyle. They're not in the, Midwestern lifestyle. They're not in the Florida lifestyle. Like, the more you travel and the more you go around, this whole United States, just where we're at, you start understanding why people are the way they are, just because of, their surroundings. You get somebody that's in a valley in the mountains. A lot of the people haven't left that valley in years. And then you start understanding, like, you know, political shit, which I'm not going to get political, but like, why they are the way they are, or fucking, why they're so into farming, or,
Yep.
you know what I mean? Like, the more you adventure, the more you start understanding people. I've learned over the years, like, I've put 70 plus thousand on miles on that bike,
Good
probably
shit.
visited 40 states on it. You start understanding people the more you adventure around and fucking, whatever. So, like, I always go, the most judgmental people are the people that don't ever leave their little area. If that
Uh,
makes sense.
no, it's fair. I mean, that it does make sense, but it doesn't necessarily. I guess it depends where you're from, right? Because if you're from a rural area, then yeah, you can be pretty judgmental. But if you're from a place like me, where I live in Southern California and it's very diverse and there's all kinds of shit that fucking going on around me, and different types of cultures and environments and backgrounds and all time and levels of income and all that type of shit, then you get it from all sorts of places. But the more isolated you start to get in these neck of the wood, not neck of the woods, but the more different locations that you go that are just more to themselves, yeah, then you're gonna have different ideas, different
Yeah.
concepts,
And, like,
different visions of shit.
I'm not pinpointing that one way or another. I'm saying, like, even the rural person, where they can be super judgmental, like, I don't get how these people live like this, and then
Yep.
it's like the people that live like this, they go, I don't get how the people live like this. But then you start traveling through it, you start spending some times in those areas, you're like, you
Yeah.
start understanding why they're that way that they are. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Well, when I've that's one thing that I've when I'm on the road is what I recognize. One of the things for me when I'm traveling and I'm moving or I'm going, even if it's an overnight trip and I'm just stopping at a gas station or this little place that I've never stopped at before, whatever it is, and I'm taking in exactly what you're taking in and what you're talking about, the thing that comes to my mind is or what I kind of take with me is like, dude, when it push comes to shove and I go back home, I'm this tiny little dot and this little pixel in this whole stinking just United States, forget the world. I'm just this little tiny little thing, this little blip on the radar, so to speak. And yeah, I think my bubble is the most important bubble in the world. But fuck, when you go out there and you move and you see shit like what you're talking about, what we're saying, you're just a little tiny dot out there, man.
Right.
So yeah. So
And then
from
dude, the traveling aspect on a fucking Harley, like we have these machines that we can fucking, travel freely about the country and enjoy the fuck out of it. I always take it as something that you can just learn a little bit from here and a little bit from there, a little bit from here, and like you just start understanding why people walk the way they walk, why they talk the way they talk, when you just
yeah.
start traveling more, you know.
So it
Like
sounds like
so
that's something that you've
it's
been taking you've been gathering that as in your travels. It sounds like you're not like philosophizing or you're sorting out what your shit is all kind of come to and shit. What you're learning from it, I guess, is the best way to put it
yeah,
in your
like
travels.
I as much as I love fucking, the racing shit, I also love traveling. Like,
Yeah,
dude, I've been having, I rode the bike to Sturgis, but from St. Louis to Sturgis is boring as fuck. It's just all cornfields and, shitty. But like, you get in some cool ass like mountain towns, fucking traveling on a motorcycle. You go stop at a gas station, smoking a cigarette outside, and fucking homeboy rolls up on his fucking dually with a flatbed with his fucking border collie fucking strapped to the fucking flatbed, and you just have a couple words with that dude. Like that's fucking life right there, dude.
yeah.
You start talking to the randoms, the locals, the guys going, why the fuck do you have pink on your fucking motorcycle? Like, like they're like, I don't understand that. Are you like,
The simple people, I guess, or that yeah. No, I know exactly what you mean. It's the experiences and shit that you have along the way. I've always said that it's not for me when I do go on like the last one that I went on was like a year ago, right around this time, and I need to get my ass on another one, but we went up like the turnaround point was basically Yellowstone, and it was like something for me to be able to say that I rode through Yellowstone or went, rode up in there. So it was like a bucket list thing, one of the places to go and visit. And
absolutely.
all and we just touched a little tiny corner of that shit. I mean, that place is huge. We just kind of dipped into it and then kind of came back out of it. But it was as much as it was nice to go there and stuff. That was cool, and I appreciate going there and because I wanted to see it and everything. But I still I like the stuff that happened on the road. The when we pulled over because my buddy fucking had to take a shit and he was getting too dehydrated or whatever. Like I remember that type of shit where the bike was overheating. Hey, you hear this knock and we had to go get some oil and do like I don't know. Like I that's the type of stuff that I um not live for, but I guess what I ride for. When I go on these big trips, I like going to the destination and being there, but I take in and embrace the breakdown on the side of the road and all that shit.
Absolutely. Can we
Yeah.
take piss breaks on this thing? Are we gonna?
Yeah, I'm gonna go fucking grab me another beer actually and do exactly that. I'll be right back. Let's do
All
that.
right.
All
Everybody hold tight.
right. That was a good piss. Thank you. I needed to do that.
Yeah.
I needed beer too. I'm like, I'm dry, but I don't. But good call.
Yeah,
Good
I was
call.
like, I don't know, is this ending and that? But I don't know if you do any post edit. We're at like right 158, 159.
Yeah, I'll probably fucking earlier when I was fucking with the headphones. It was my headphone jack. That's why I kept thinking that you couldn't hear me because my headphone jack was fucked up. So when I was like trying to fuck with it, I accidentally hit the like record button on the podcast thing. So I stopped I had to hit it again. So I'll fuck with it later. Yeah, I'll fuck. Yeah, that's a whole nother fucking thing, man. People think that it's fun. It is fun. It is fun talking to people and hanging out and talking and bullshitting and uploading podcasts and having that platform. But fuck, it's a lot of fucking work too, man. It's a whole marathon.
Dude, same with the YouTube stuff. Like, I get so many people are like, "You gonna do more YouTube videos?" Like, dude, I'm doing so much cool shit. Like, there's no reason why I shouldn't be fucking doing the YouTube stuff. But my biggest thing is I'm just so fucking overwhelmed. You know, like trying to run a business by myself, trying to, fucking make it through life, pay your fucking bills, fucking, make it to a racetrack, trying to, I'm a super nice dude. Anybody ask me a question, I'll fucking answer it. If I have, any sort of knowledge on the situation.
Yeah.
And then, just getting stressed out about trying to make my life look entertaining, So.
Well, I guess okay. So on that note, then that's a good kind of segue into it. What do you? I personally hate the term. I hate the term influencer. I don't. It's just I don't know. But is that what when you say make your life interesting? Is it because of that? Is it because like you consider that and you have to take now if you're getting checks from it now, so that kind of puts things into perspective. Let me fucking say that if you're getting paid from fucking YouTube and you're getting some checks coming into it, well, I don't know.
Right. Dude, it's weird. Like influencer feels like a fucking derogatory term lately. Fucking.
I think yeah. I think
like
what context do you say that in? Do you say it like you don't like associating with it, or you're defending it? I don't know which angle are you coming at.
Like I guess people like I've had people be like, "Hey, yeah, you're an influencer." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm just trying to make people do cool shit and like have fun. And I'm trying to help them out." And I'm like, you wanna work on your shit? I'm gonna be the first guy that's gonna tell you where you're gonna fuck it up or how I can help you or what to look out for. So if I'm an influencer for being that, but it's like people like I hate it. Walking into a bar with a couple of your homies. You walk into there and they go, "Oh, this motherfucker's famous," and they're joking around, they're busting your balls, type of thing. But then you gotta like, you play it off like, all right, do I roll this card or do I fucking fold this deck? Fucking, do I play or do I stay? Like, are they talking good or are they talking bad? So I don't know. Like it can be, depending on the situation, you can be on either side of it. When somebody say, "Hey, you're an influencer," you're like, "Yeah, I do fun shit." Like, I'm influencing people to live their fucking best life. Or you do an influencer and you're like, "Oh, so they're just doing the latest TikTok trend and fucking, whatever they can for clicks and views."
Okay.
I don't give a fuck about, how many likes I have on a photo. If I'm gonna post some shit, I'm gonna post some shit. Like I don't fuck around on my Facebook anymore, but I don't delete it because I have 10 years worth of fucking memories on there.
Right.
So when I talk to somebody and I have to like pull up an old photo, I go, "All right, I know exactly where this photo's sitting. I took this in 2016. It's no longer on my phone. I can go to the post, screenshot it, crop it down and be like, yeah." So that's when I had a fucking boat towed by my Impala, type of shit. Like, so like lately in the way this scene has been rolling, fucking influencer is a fucking derogatory as fuck term to me. It's just like, dude, people, it's weird. Like it's, 2 years ago.
I guess what you have to not define, but I guess what you have to separate because people will say friends of mine will say the same thing, like yours, and they're busting balls. But there's then, oh, here's Ray showcase, Harley showcase, or fucking he's an influence, blah blah blah. Right? They'll say that type of shit. But to put it like what you're saying, you have to, I guess you have to define, okay, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to influence, if you're trying to influence people to live their best life, that's your motive, or that's your objective, I guess, through social media, is to just live fucking the life that you're portraying, or
Yeah.
yeah. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Like, I don't know if I'm gonna be influencing anybody. Like, I want to influence you to be fucking great. Like, dude, I'm there's so many people, and like I had this like group chat going on for fucking years and shit, dude. Screaming Speed and Fab came out of this group chat. Fucking me starting up my YouTube shit came out of this group chat. My other buddy's business came out of this group chat. Moves across the country came out of this group chat. Like, it was just a bunch of homies like coming around, and we were just pumping all ourselves up to be the greatest fucking people that we could be. Fucking, where it's like you have that self doubt, you have that shit like, oh, I can't do it, but you have 10 other motherfuckers in your corner that are like, no, dog, make it happen. You can do it. Like, why can't you do it? What's your holdup? You start getting those people around us. So if you want to call me an influencer, like, just know it's because it's in the fucking best way possible that I'm trying to fucking pump you up. Like, I don't get jealous of people better than me. Like, I literally strive to follow behind people that are better than me because I want to learn something new every day. So if somebody gets better than me, I'm the first one taking fucking notes. I'm sitting there like, all right, you're doing cool shit. All right, well, you did this, you did that. If I have a question, I'm gonna take a question from you. Fucking that. And if somebody I feel is in, my role that I just said to that, like, I will give them, the time of day.
Yeah.
Somebody doing a competitive business to me, I don't give a fuck who you are. I'm going to tell you what I did. I'm going to tell you how I did it. I'm going to tell you if it worked out or if it didn't, because at the end of the day, fucking, we're all friends in it. I want to see my friends succeed. I want to see other people around me succeed, because the drive in me is going to put me better than you. So if I see you doing this good, I'm going to try to get this good. And that's straight up. So like, I won't ever talk anybody down to make me feel better. I will talk other people up to make me be better.
Fair enough, man. I can do the same. I do the same. I have a homie that's trying to start a little business of his, and I don't even want to say little. I hate saying little business of his, because anytime someone says, "Yeah, I got this little thing going on," I always tell people, remove that word little from it. You don't have to make it. It doesn't have to be a big thing. It doesn't have to be anything big, but remove that word little from the equation. But I can be vocal because I got that from my old man, where I'm like, hey, this is what I got to say, and I'm going to say that, and I'm going to get that off my chest, and I'm going to say what I got to say. But at the same time, I will hype you up, and I want anybody that is around me as well to come up with me, or for me to get them, to help them come up if they need my advice. Same thing with my homeboy. He's like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to do this, or if it's going to be a kickoff, or it's going to work, or anything like that. I'm like, listen, man, quit thinking about the negative and just focus on like getting this thing started. Go get a customer, go get one or two people. Like, you got to put all that type of shit behind you. And I'm sitting here trying to hype them up and tell them, Lone, you got this. You've been doing this for 20 years. You're just now, instead of doing it for a company, you're going to go and do this for yourself. You have all the experience. You have all the knowledge. I'm sitting there trying to hype them up and tell them, go out and do this shit. Bang your shit out, man.
Yeah. As long as you're just staying fucking true to it, just, if you're gonna fucking make it happen, don't make it happen by screwing everybody else over around you. Like, I hate seeing that shit. Fucking, you see some suits and ties nowadays, and people just glorify these rich ass motherfuckers that made it because they fucked off, or they fucked over so many other people. If you can make it while taking some other people on your coattails, or you're a dude on the coattail that makes it because your homie made it, ain't no shame in any of that. Like, fucking But if you're only making it because you're shitting on everybody through, dude, that shit's gonna fucking fuck you over 10 times out of 10. You know, guarantee fucking that.
Yeah, what you're saying resonates and hits because it sucks that it's family that it resonates with. Is I have a family member that's like falls into exactly what you're talking about, where it's just cutthroat, it's just business, and it's made a fucking relationship fall apart, kind of because that's all that it fucking is about. And there's no other motive other than just that right there. And when you have that mentality, it doesn't always work out. It's not always
Yeah.
the right way to approach it. Sometimes, yes, sometimes you do have to approach it that way, depending on the situation, but there's always a different way to handle it. And I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, there's no reason to let like dead weight hold you down, or there's no reason to fucking, you know, not try to pick up some dead weight to make you stronger. If that makes sense. Like
No,
fucking like you we're all the own judgment in our own situations. Like there's no, you know, it's like with anything, there's no clear cut rules on how this life needs to go and how all this shit needs to be. Fucking shit will fucking, you know, you got to be your best judgment, you know. If you
that's
think
it.
somebody else is going to do it for you, fucking, you know, you're going to fail.
Yeah, no. You got to put in the work, the energy, the effort, all that shit, dude. I don't know how much you follow or keep up or even care or know, but my shit kind of came to a crash within the past month or so, and there's a rebrand and there's a rebuild and all that shit, and it's not going. It's not going to detour me. It's just going to fucking. I'm like, okay, got to fucking go back to business. I got to go back to work. I got to go back and redo something and go back to the drawing board, so to speak. But it ain't going to throw me off track or anything. You know, it's that's the approach that you have to have through fucking life, man. That's fucking called ups and downs. That's called fucking manhood. That's called fucking adulthood and reality, man. Life is not always you know, the Instagram reels and the highlights and all that shit. Life does have curveballs and fucking low places and all that shit.
Yeah, it was like when I started Screaming Speed and Fab. So like I finally decided to like come about on it, and then I was like, all right, cool. I got like my material in order. My shit was that. It was coming in, you know, talking to my little group chat, you know, kind of putting it out there. I started the page as far as a strictly a business page, and then, you know, I kept a little hush hush on it. I was like, yeah, it's coming, you know, and then it was like, boom, one day I go to drop it, and it was like, all right, products for sale on the website, fucking t-shirts for sale, sweatshirts, fucking, you know, it was like I just literally just that and all my homies that I'm in this group chat with that I'm talking about it. I didn't tell any about this. I just literally walked up and I just like grabbed the mic and I just dropped it right in front of them. And like they all were so stoked that it wasn't just like, oh hey, I'm starting today, like, and I'm just gonna try to make some shit happen. I was like, no, if we're gonna do it, we're doing it, you
Yeah.
know. So is I
And
don't know.
now here is now it's where it is. Would you consider growing? I mean, you consider you need, you know, hire and help or whatever.
Fucking the broken hand says I need some help. That'd be great, dude. I got a custom made TIG glove right now where I took my glove and I cut off a fucking pointer finger and a thumb. You know, fuck these other three fingers. Like, I got a picture. Like I'm fucking dude. I'm TIG welded so much like with this cast on and shit. So some help would be fucking great. I need I'm not gonna say I've been in like a little slump lately. I've just kind of been in the overwhelmed stage. I
I
need
got
to just step it back. I think, you know, this winter where I'm not focused on, you know, making to this race or making the Sturgis or making the camp out and whatever, like I'm gonna start making some really good business moves. So I think that's gonna be coming up. Um, we're gonna make some shit happen. Yeah.
you.
So yeah, we're gonna be growing.
Sometimes you have to sometimes you got to do a little reset or a little reevaluation shit, man. Like
Yeah.
that sounds like what you're kind of like in what you're yeah, I guess going through, you know. I myself in the same way. It's a little reevaluation with all this stuff, and it
Yeah, I'm not gonna
really
say I'm burnt out, but I'm just saying I need a spark a little bit more.
I feel you. Well, sometimes you just need to figure out how to revamp where to focus that energy or where to focus that shit. Sometimes you got it spread out in too many spots, and you're gonna channel it into one specific spot, whether that's racing. I don't know, whatever That sounds like what you're kind of sifting through. Do you have a project that's coming up? Like, do you got something else like fucking like on the back burner that you're gonna be working on? By the way, do you have that O3 still that you were talking about? Did you sell it? Did you?
I raffled that off.
Oh, you
So
did?
I raffled that '03. I just like threw it up. Um, I raffled it and it sold out in like 7 hours. So
Fucking him.
that
Who got it?
one, his name's Trent Stone out of Kansas. But apparently, like I did this, what was it, like a month and a half ago, 2 months ago?
Okay.
Um, And then apparently he just sold it to somebody else because somebody messaged me on Instagram like 2 days ago and they're like, "Did you build this bike?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Oh, I just bought it." I was like, "All right, well, the dude that won it got it for $52." So
Oh man. Well, I guess it is his right to do it as he pleases with the damn thing.
yeah, so like with that, my whole plan with it at the time, just going my mindset of where I was at, what I was doing business wise. So I had that bike. I built that bike because the other bike basically turned into a race bike. I couldn't do trips. I like traveling, whatever. So I picked up the O3. I rebuilt it. Just threw a little swag at it. Nothing too crazy. No motor work. It was just kind of all aesthetics and taking the extended bag gayness off it. Um, so
They used,
um,
you remember they used to be a thing at one time. Remember, I
yeah,
was and I was a person of extended bags myself.
yeah. So like I was like, all right. And then I woke up one day, it was a little bit before Sturgis. And then I was like, all right, normally they release the new Harley models after Sturgis. I was like, I heard from a little birdie, a year ago, year and a half ago, 2 years ago, that they were coming out with a new chassis bagger in 2023, which would be released in end of 2022 through Harley. So I was like, all right, I'm going to dip out on this '03. I'm going to cash out. I'm going to have capital sitting here. 2023 comes out. I'll go buy a brand new bike and we're going to develop parts for it. And then my little birdie, different little birdie fucking told me that everything got pushed back a year. So me trying to be proactive a little bit on it, and then getting rid of this bike, it didn't really pan out in my plan as far as, because I was like, all right, they're going to release a brand new bike. I'll go buy one cash. Like, let's fucking go, you know? And then just, it didn't quite work out how I planned,
Yeah.
for the minute. So
So
that's where I'm at right now.
are you in the hunt for one? Are you looking at them actively? Are you looking for something, or it's not really in the cards, I guess, at the moment?
I bought a Honda Monkey. You know what a Honda Monkey is?
Yeah, Jim's got a couple of them over here and at his fucking Jim's got all kinds of fucking toys, and those are a couple of the toys that he has. They're yeah, did you buy I think there's two of them. There's a yellow one and a red one, I think.
Well, I bought a 2022. There was a yellow one and
Oh,
a black one.
okay.
So I picked up a Honda Monkey. Um, I have like the starts to a whole new race bike. I have a Rushmore frame. I have a 124 M8 transmission primary. Um, brakes. I have a set of Resi Olins. Like I have a set of shitty tins. My whole tin set from the blue bike with the fucking
All you
hat.
need is a
Like
pair of shitty tins on a race bike. I mean, yeah,
yeah. So
it's nice to be looking good out there and shit, but I mean, shit happens.
yeah, so like I have everything to start a race bike. I don't have any front suspension, but I have like four front suspension people with trees that are coming at me wanting me to run their shit. So like I can do that. So maybe we'll see how it goes. Maybe I might
Do
just
that, would you
build a
if you
full on race bike.
if you did something like that, would then your current setup go back to a streetable kind of bike, or would
Yeah, so like I have a second HPI exhaust. I still have my like HPI exhaust for the floorboards, the shorty. Like that's still in a box.
Okay.
So I'd throw that and then take my HPI exhaust that's for the mids, put floorboards back on the other bike, you know, fucking maybe just lower it down a touch so my chain ain't so pissed off, you know, and then I don't know. That bike is 143 horse, 146 torque. Like it's not ridiculous as far as the power wise. Like it's still pretty fucking streetable. It's happy on the highway. Like you know, so build a full on race bike that's a little crazier.
I don't know that, like, I think if you're gonna stay in the race shit, man, this is just my opinion. If it were me and I got what you got laying around, I would slowly maybe try and start making the transition. Throw that, if you have an available lift or something, throw that thing up on a lift and just start piecing it together
Oh
slowly,
yeah,
little by little, but actually like start putting it, like making it become reality, and eventually make it that right there your race bike. And it doesn't, I guess, I guess I don't know, it depends the caliber of racing that you're trying to achieve, like if you're trying to get it to past the point that your current one is at, that's going to take a lot of work and effort and energy. Or if you're just trying to get it to where it's just a track bike for you to be able to go out there and run and race. I guess that's what the difference is are you gonna, do you want to, how competitive do you want to be, or because that's really kind of what it comes. You can ride all day long and do all that shit, you can have the best skill in the world, but like you said, if you're going against fucking guys that have Harley throwing free tires at them, and Harley themselves and Vance and Hines and all these guys, it's pretty hard, not impossible, but it's pretty damn hard to keep up with an unlimited budget on the other
yeah,
end.
yeah. So like even before the first race, I already had this frame like laying around. Like I heard a Baker recently coming out. I was like, I'm gonna build a full on race bike, and then it's just always been timing. Then when we were in Daytona this year, which what Daytona is like March, I think.
Yeah.
While we're in Daytona, they go, "Hey, we're doing a race in Utah or whatever." Fucking that. So like I'm sitting here, I got this frame, I got a motor the motor needs like some work done to it, but like just been collecting these parts. I had a full carbon fiber body, and I was like, all right, this is all going to be a fucking race bike. And then they dropped that race, and I was like, well, fuck, the race bike ain't done. I got a month and a half to make this happen. I want to be more competitive. So I took the whole blue tin set off it, and then I put the carbon fiber on the other bike, full carbon fiber body. I ditched the radio, the speakers, and, dropped as much weight as I could on that one, and just trying to make all that shit happen.
Hey, how
So
much on a technical side of it, how much weight savings is that the plastics to the carbon fiber stuff, like the bags, and because they make carbon fiber everything now. How much weight difference are
yeah,
we talking? Do you have any idea?
I've never thrown the whole bike on a scale. I know if you go on like dtfperformance.com, they have like weight things. I don't want to even like try to guess what I remember looking
No,
at,
no, 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 of
but they have
course.
weight of like what a normal fairing is to a carbon fiber fairing, what a
Gotcha.
normal bag is to a carbon fiber one fender. I guess the fenders are big. Um, but like when I went to the carbon fiber outer fairing, like I ditched the whole inner fairing. I ditched the radio, I ditched the speakers. So it's basically like the mount, and then I kept the mount for the headlight, so I can still put a headlight in the bike. As the whole inner fairing bracketry, and then I made it work for basically throwing on the carbon fiber shell on it. So just ditching the radio and the speakers and the glove boxes and the doors, like I'd say that was a fucking 50 pounds weight drop right there,
Yeah,
right over the front wheel.
that's a that I bought my fairing because I converted my 2008 to a 18 fairing, and I bought the fucking fairing off of some. I got two fairings. Long story short, I basically had to go punk a homie that turned out not to be a homie for some shit. So I had to go punk him for a fucking fairing that he had for some money that he owed me. So I came back with one, And then I happened to fucking come across another one from this fucking tweaker dude that was parting out his old man's bike or something because he was like stripping it. So I bought it off of him, like a full set. And he sent me, it was so tweaker status, dude. He straight up fucking just cut it at the wiring harness, literally like at the neck. He fucking cut it at the wiring harness, took off the 4 fucking bolts and the turn signals and just basics that he had to take, took that whole thing off, threw it in a box for me. And I was sketch fucking doing it because I sent the guy like I think I sent him like $1,200 or something like that, dude, over PayPal or something. He was in Utah or something. And he just threw it in this sketchy ass Home Depot box. It came, the box was all kind of fucked up. I opened it, it was in one piece, but I remember picking that bitch up, man, and the whole thing. I got it mounted on my bike now, so it's been a while since I picked up a whole entire unit, but it was a good fucking solid like 40, 50 pounds on that bitch, man, when you put everything together.
Yeah, so like, yeah, now the way my shit's set up, like that whole mount, and you know, with my race headlight, which my race headlight's just a normal headlight cut down and some stickers on it and shit. Like, I gotta say that's under 10 pounds, you know, with the mount and the fairing and the fucking, you know, windshield and all that shit. So, you know, it's like riding a Road King.
I guess I'm just curious. I know obviously there is a weight reduction to it. That's a given between any of the plastic stuff and a carbon fiber version of it. There's definitely going to be a weight reduction. I don't know. I guess I'm just not always. I'm curious what that translates to, like in terms of horsepower, like how much more you're gaining out of it. Because that carbon fiber shit, man, fuck, it's expensive. It's not a cheap addition to. It's not a cheap addition to your bike, and so I guess it comes down to cost versus gain sort of thing for me. That's how I measure. I don't know about you, but that's usually how I measure my expenses. Like I bought a pool for the family and shit. I'm like, it's going to cost me X amount of money. Yeah, okay, that's worth the value for me. But like sometimes I'm like, fuck, carbon fiber bags. No, I'm all right. I think I can, you know.
Yeah, my whole tin set I got on my bike was used off a different bike, so I didn't pay full retail, you know. So
it still hurts though when it goes down though, right? Because the shit.
Oh like, yeah, dude. Like, don't get me wrong. When I still remember this when I watched that handlebar go. I'm still straight up, and I remember going "fuck" in my head, just straight up, just fuck. Like I knew I was going down. I knew I was fucked, and I was like I don't know why. It's a fucking race bike, but I still want it to look good. You know, like I still like want people to like walk in my pits and be like, damn, that's a nice looking bike.
Because
like nothing like sliding this fucking $75,000 bike down a track knowing that insurance doesn't work on a track. like all the damage straight out of my pocket. You ain't collecting on insurance for that shit.
Yeah, you know? that would definitely. I mean, like I feel for you in that sense because I know what carbon fender and bags, and I know what they go for retail, and whether you get hooked up or not, even with just a little bit of a hookup, it's still a blow to the pocketbook when it comes to that shit, you know. That's why I was saying you're not Vance and Hines, you're not Harley Davidson, where like if that's what they're running, oh okay, we'll just pull another set up from the rack in the trailer, like here you go, just slap. Because is that where you're?
I'm sitting there and I'm going, I bought black duct tape. Duct tape's gonna go great on this black fucking bike. Dude, there's some pictures from my qualifying. Fucking my buddy David. He's out in Cali, so like I'm gonna go a quick backtrack on the story with David. So I was heading up to Sonoma. This random dude hits me up on Instagram. He goes, "Hey, do you need any help in the pits? I'm not trying to be weird or whatever, but like I live within an hour of the track. Fucking, you need any help in the pits?" And then I don't know if you ever heard of the dude Bagger Killer. He's up in Wheelie, dude. He's up in the Bay Area. He was going to come help me. Well, earlier that week, he got in a wreck, before Sonoma. And he's like, "Hey, dude, I'm not going to be able to make the race." I'm like, "Don't worry about it. Like, you just got in a wreck. Like, take care of yourself. I'm not worried about it." So this homie, David, Ride Faster, Take Chances, his Instagram. he hits me up and he's like, "Hey, you need any help in the pits?" And I go, "Yeah, dude. Fucking, honestly, I do. Like, if you want to come out, fucking, whatever." He's like, "Tell me whatever you need me to do." I'm like, "All right, cool." And then his homie, Jesse, fucking, he is actually a customer of mine, bought my side covers. He's like, "You're not going to help out Steve Chamberlin, like whatever. I don't know what you're talking about." Like, just not like trusting the words that his buddy said. And then they come out to the pits, and the fucking David's like, "You need anything?" I was like, "I don't know. I'll take some Red Bull if you want to pick me up some Red Bull on the way to the track." Like, I don't know what else to say. And this dude came out, and like, dude, we went on the track, and like I'm saying earlier, like I'm inexperienced as fuck on the track. And then like I had him check tire pressure, I had him set it, and then where I knew this dude was the dude, it was like I went out for that, and I was like, "Dude, you know what tire pressure we ran on the last time?" And this motherfucker pulls out his phone, and he had notes on his phone. He goes,
Oh
"Yeah,
shit.
we were at fucking 35 psi in the front and 32 psi in the rear." Like with the notes on his phone. I was like, "That's my dude." And fucking so, dude, like he helped me out all in Sonoma, and then Utah was a drive. He drove out to Utah, and then when we went to Milwaukee, fucking last minute, he's like, "Dude, I bought a plane ticket." I was like, "You're in my pits, dude. You're the fucking best." Dude,
That's
he's such a like, and it was just over a message of him just, putting it out there, breaking the ice, fucking being like, "Hey, do you need help?" And I honestly went back to him. I was like, "Yeah, you know what? I do." And he fucking stepped up to the plate and made the fucking shit happen. And I'm so grateful for, a homie like that.
that's dope, man. Like that is definitely the good side of motorcycles and what they do. They
Dude,
do.
the people
It's
around it.
yeah, I know it's fucking like it's cliche and all that shit to say it and all that crap, but that's just what they do. It's not folk. We hear it so much. You hear it so much that it becomes cliche, but it's really just it's what it is. And like fuck, man, like guys like that are kind of sound like you and I and stuff. I may not be on the track, but I can still like obviously he did geek out on tire pressure and being there in the pits with you. He fucking took his notes out and he took like notes on what it was and stuff so that you can run maybe
Yeah,
tire
anything I told him to do, like, you have tire warmers, fucking, it was just me and him in the pits. It's
well
like when I'd go out and
you
I'd
need
be
a
like, "Hey,
team in there.
I was like, unplug the tire warmers, pull them off, and then you have stands, like I have a kickstand on the bike." I was like, "Drop me off the stands." He would, dude, anything and everything. He was fucking right there, just doing the shit, and it
Yeah.
was fucking like the amount of just like stress that just dropped off me from that, and we're just like, just focus on the race, just focus on the ride. Somebody else has it. And by the time I went to Utah, and then I was like, I had fucking Kyle out there, and I had him out there. I'd literally get off the track, dude. I'm fat. I smoke. I'm winded. You're riding hard enough. Like I literally roll the fucking bike into the pits, and those dudes come up and they fucking grab the bike from me. I just gotta fucking throw a leg over the bike. They're gonna go park it. They're gonna put it back on the stands. They're gonna go put the tire warmers back on the fucking tires, and I just gotta chill out. And like it was such a fucking relief where it just turned into, hey, you don't need to take on all of it. These guys, you give them a little bit of your shit, and then you just focus on you. You focus on the ride. You focus on the bike. Like I'm still in charge of the bike. Still my bike. I know the bike through and through because I fucking built it. But like fucking like it took so much that where I could just next level it. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? Next level.
you do have to have when it comes to racing that one of the things that they say now, not necessarily like in terms of like bagger racing league or anything like that, but because you don't have pit stops, but you hear it in NASCAR and you hear it in the other shit that the races are won in the pits, like how fast shit moves
Yeah.
and stuff that's done. Because although the rider or the driver, whatever, if it's NASCAR or rider in your sense, is out there shifting gears, finding the line, going as fast as they can, pushing the limits. You cannot push the limits unless you have a bike that's performing up to that shit and a team that does that. Now, if you're taking all that shit on, like you said, fuck yeah, that's a lot of shit. That's a lot of stuff to go and do. You know, that's a lot to take on and try, if you, especially if you broke down or anything like that. But it's nice to be able to trust a handful of guys, 2 guys, whatever it may be, that are there to fucking have your back in that sense. And you need them. Like, if you're going to go to the track, like I said, my father-in-law has been racing for 30 plus years, man. He started racing in Pintos and shit. And every time he goes, he's got, or he still has his buddies and stuff that come over to the house the week of the race, and they're prepping the car and they're getting it ready and they're making sure there's enough weight on the back of the car and it's all specced out and it's lowered and oil's changed and all that shit. They're doing all that shit as a crew, because if you just do it to one person, fuck, man, that's just too much to throw at a person.
Dude, and then like going back with the track shit, how you're saying, and street shit, and then the best way I explain shit when you go on the track is like, all right, you go out and you have a corner and you fuck up a corner. You fuck up a corner in the street, you move the fuck on, you try to nail the next corner. You fuck up a corner on the track, you got 2 minutes to fucking let that bitch steam while you're still trying to fucking hit every other corner. But you go, turn 3, I fucked up. Turn 3, I hit the brakes too early. I should have sent it a little harder. You have 2 minutes to fucking go out there. But then you go do a practice session, and I mean, you throw 20 minutes of balls out fucking riding at it, where it's just like 100%, 90 to 100%. I'm not going to say every lap is 100%, but 90 to 100% for 20 minutes, mentally you come back fucked up.
Yeah.
You're literally going like, shit, fuck, dude, turn 4, dude, what if I send it in a little harder? I turn it a little later, it's going to fucking send me into 5, just a little bit fucking hotter. Like, that should work. Like, that's all the shit that's going in my mind. I don't have time to think about, oh shit, I gotta put tire warmers on. What's my pressure at when I get off the track? What's this? What's that? Like,
Yeah.
dude, my first race, pretty stress free, fucking whatever. But like when you start stepping it up and you start trying to like really be competitive and really trying to fuck some shit up, like, fuck, dude, it takes a lot.
Yeah, I just had Josh, and you may have run into him on the track. Josh Nichols,
Yeah,
local
he's cool,
guy.
dude. I'm in a group chat with him.
Okay, yeah, out here in
super cool, dude. I remember, not to cut you off, but the first Bagger Racing League, and it was like, fucking, he's in the pits, and I remember he was like trying to fucking, I don't know if he was trying to like put on a new wheel on his new inverted front end, but dude, I'm just sitting there like carefree, drinking beer night before the first day, just trying to figure out how the track works, but he can continue on. He's a good dude. Josh Nichols.
Yeah, he's a homie right here. He's a local guy too. He's been out there fucking on the track for a minute actually. Like I think he's been like when at least one of the very first ones that I attended, which was like, I forgot the track that they have. It's out there, and I don't know.
Chuck Walla.
Chuck Walla. There you go. There you go. Thank you.
Yeah. Seems like to be a local for that.
Yeah, that was like one of the first ones. I think that's where they kicked off BRL or something. Maybe it was like one of the very first ones, but he was out there like day one. But I just had him over here for a podcast, and he was talking about like some of the stuff that exactly what you're saying, where what I was getting my fucking kicks off with him, where I was like fucking like listening to him describe like Laguna Seca. There's this fucking turn that he was talking about where you're just like going up into like you're just, the way it comes up, you're just looking up into the sky, and there's a turn that kind of, and it falls down behind it. And he's like, dude, you're just like going like 100 and 110, 100, and other guys are taking it at 140, 150s all, but you're just looking at it going, damn, dude, I look like I'm just gonna launch into the sky. But it's like, like you're just gonna like, dude, well, these guys are doing it at $140, $150. I can do it fucking too. He's like, but you feel like you're just gonna launch yourself. And that's exactly what he said. He's like, then you live with that, or you deal with that when you're coming back around it, or on the track. You're like, I could have taken that faster, I could have taken that harder, and you deal with that when you come back around. And I guess that's what the practice runs are for and shit. But that's the different type of mentality that you can have on the racetrack than you do out on the street. Is you
And
dial in your skills a lot more.
yeah, and like Sonoma, like when we went up to Sonoma had one of those. So you come down the front straightaway, in front of all the fucking grandstands, and then you have like a little left kick, like fucking, I don't know, 20-degree left kick. And then fucking you come up, you literally look like you're gonna launch into the fucking grandstands. And you just gotta know that you gotta fucking double downshift, fucking brake hard, and then just fucking hit the apex right as you're topping this fucking hill and just hitting done. Awesome. And then you just move on to the next corner, fucking and like that's the thing, like, like I'm not saying I'm a track pro. Like I told you my track experience. I've been on a track 5 times. 4 of them have been races. But it's like you get all those practice laps and shit, and you start learning, like, take a section at a time. Just be like, all right, I'm gonna nail these 4 turns. Just you go out there and practice, and you nail those 4 turns. You might have something on the back stretch. You're like, oh, I'm gonna work on that. But like, you go out there and you're like, these 4 turns I'm gonna nail. And the next practice sessions, you're like, those 4 turns I nailed. Next 4 turns. Fucking, you start breaking it down into sections, and it's slightly addictive just because, especially when you can watch your lap times and you're like, oh shit, from my first run of the day to my last run of the day, I dropped 8 seconds.
And
That type of shit.
Seconds on the track are fucking invaluable because that's literally what you're chasing. You are chasing,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously you're racing each other out there on the racetrack when it comes, but during practice sessions and all that stuff and qualifying, you're out there like trying to beat the clock and stuff. So you're racing 4 seconds.
Yeah. Dude, it's addicting. It's fun. It's fun as fuck. Because like, don't get me wrong, like I get sketchy on the street. I have fun on the street. But then you get on a track where it's just like, all right, hone it in, make it happen. Just knowing what the fuck you need to do and understand it, and knowing if something's set up wrong on your bike, where you go, shit, dude, I'm diving too hard. I need more compression up front. Fucking, I'm gassing it. My rebound's too light. I'm fucking lifting the ass end hard, type of shit. You're like, I'm dragging. Like, how do I make it so I don't drag this? Do I hang off the bike more? Do I stand it up? Like, I'm so inexperienced at it that I'm still having fun because I'm learning it,
Yeah. No, well, the more I would say you're in a class, it's fair to say that you're in a small class of people that are doing it, right? I mean, there's less than I don't know, 20. I think I asked Josh the same thing. There's less than 20 in all the classes combined. What, 20 to 30 people that are out that are in the circuit or racing?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, like you're already in a fucking small class as it is. So the experience itself is a lot more than anybody else's. But when I hear you talking about the rebound and the compression, all that stuff is it makes sense to me. I understand what it is. And I think it's important for people to hear from somebody like, I don't know, maybe you like you're running Olins and you're running all this different type of stuff because you need that stuff on the track and you understand the minute fucking adjustments and changes that it'll take because it's too stiff or it's too soft or whatever it may be. You need more lift or like the extensions you were talking about. A lot of people right now are going out and just buying that shit. They're just going out and buying that shit because it's the fat, it's the cool shit to have. People don't always need to go to that level, to that extreme. My point being is that you're using it, you're dialing that shit in on a racetrack. It's where it's more fine tuned, where you really need it to shine, so to speak. You can do very well with it.
And that goes with my my obsession of learning is just going out there and knowing what changes do what, and then just if I add a little compression, am I gonna now make the front end unstable when I brake, like those type of things.
Yeah.
I have hours and hours of street testing, not always track testing, getting sketchy on the streets, fun as fuck. Fucking just trying to figure it out, like of what makes it happen. So, I'm going out there on a front end with factory Harley sliders, machined a little bit so I have a fork brace, and then adapters for radial brakes now. Like I ran stock
What fork,
calipers.
what fork brace are you running?
Bare Knuckle makes one where you got to machine it down so because they're not true from the factory, you know.
You got to machine. You got to machine the brace or the sliders.
The sliders. So the sliders are sand casted, and
Yeah.
then the true center of the sliders isn't always center on it. So if you try to do a bolt on the outside fork brace, like it'll stress it unless it has enough um, adjustability to it. Like I can, I guess, pull off my fork slider and you see like they're not round, like they're sand casted. They're fucking, where the center bore of where everything fucking up and down strokes to where it is, like it's fucking oval. Like it's not. It's supposed to be round, but
Yeah.
So
I
unless
know.
you chuck it in a machine and fucking straighten it out, and like the last thing you want on a fork brace, so you start pulling inner torsion or outer torsion to the fork brace, you're pulling on the bushings on the inside of it. So now you're wearing out the bushings on it, a regularity, fucking trying to run it through the stroke because you have a fork brace that's fighting against it. So unless that motherfucker's true, like now next thing you know, your fucking bearing or your bushings are wearing out, your seals are fucking leaking, all that type of shit. So
Hey, it's good that you I can geek out with you all day long on that type of shit because I'm on the same page with you. I'm on the same wavelength with you when you're talking about the bushings and the forks pulling in and moving stuff and not the stroke not being. I understand all that stuff. It's important that we talk about that stuff in cases like this because people will listen, people will hear it, but some people get caught up in the flash of what it's supposed to just like look good, but when you go and install a part when you're going for flash, there's aspects like what you're talking about that go hand in hand with it. You got to make sure you install that shit correctly and that it's not just fucking bolted on or it's going to cause the issues and the things that you're talking about. So you got to kind of, there's things that this gearhead thing, this mechanical thing is more than just taking off a part and putting one on. There are other little aspects and tricks and things that you have to kind of keep in mind. And that's just from time and experience. You didn't know that. You didn't know that information yourself right off of the gate. Either you learn, like you said, by fucking up and doing it wrong yourself, or someone showing you, or them fucking up and making sure that you didn't fuck up.
yeah, absolutely. It's just one of those things where it's like I like it to look good and I like it to perform better, fucking type of thing. So, as I put something on, I don't give a fuck if it's the prettiest part out there. If it ain't gonna perform right, I ain't putting it on my fucking bike. Like, if it ain't perfect, I just don't do it.
I'm
You
with
know,
you, man.
so it's just like starting to understand the aspects of how shit is. Like a biggest argument I'll have with some people is chain tension. So they see my bike on a 16.5-inch shock with my chain tension. Dude, you can flop my chain up and down in a resting position 3 inches. 3 inches up and down. They go, oh, your chain's too loose. I go, all right, so you have a 16-inch shock. I'm running
Right.
16 and a half on the rear. I was like that. I have 3 inches of travel. So I was like, let's unbolt the shock. Fuck the shock, fuck the spring, whatever. So let's 3 inches up. And I was like
Lost.
that. And like you get it. Are we still good?
No, hold on. I can hear you now.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you have a 16.5-inch shock, and I have 3 inches of travel or 290 mils of travel, and then you have it where that swing arm goes up. I was like, if that motherfucker ever binds, there's a couple things that are going to happen. You're going to take out your output shaft of your transmission. You're going to fucking take out the, bearings in your chain drive, or you're going to fucking crack. That chain ain't going to give. Some in that point, if that chain ever binds where it doesn't want to let through the suspension cycle before you hit a bump stop, you're going to fuck up. So the best way I tell people to like set your chain tension, I'm like, all right, so you have it, fully unloaded, fucking whatever it is, what it is. Let's say you have a 15-inch shock with 3 inches of travel. You should be able to compress, pull your shocks out of the way. You should be able to compress it to 12 inches, 15 minus 3 inches of travel, 12 inches. Right. You should be able to that, and that chain should never come completely banjo tight that it ain't gonna work.
Right. Now, how long of a chain you have to run with that shit? You got to run a pretty long fucking chain with that then, don't you?
I run with the way mine is. I'm like 1.5 inches extended on the rear swing arm. I'm 120 links with nothing taken away.
Okay. Now, so is all the travel in, is the 16.5 all in your,
it's a 13.25-inch shock with a 3-inch extension.
Okay. But it's all in the shock, because I know that you can move. A buddy of mine here has their swing arm where they can relocate like some of the position of the shock. So the closer you get it to the frame of the bike, obviously the more lift that it's going to give. Is that play into yours at all, or it's all into the shock itself?
I'm running a touch different on the swing arm geometry, but it plays in a little bit, but you still got to go on the compression of the shock.
Okay. You take another piss?
Yep.
Oh, you guys have a bathroom right there? Yeah, we can hear.
That's a surprise for everybody.
Surprise, motherfuckers. Although, where did he get up and go to? And then I heard,
there's a bathroom. Can you still see
I
me?
heard fucking, I heard dripping water. I'm like, well, I know he's not washing
myself.
Yeah, I'm about a fucking 6-pack in and shit, man.
I think 4-pack of Moscow Mule, and I'm on my 6th beer, so we're good.
Yeah, you're feeling good on it. Are you working tomorrow? You're on the clock tomorrow?
Yeah, I fucking work every day, dog.
Fuck, well, how far ahead are you guys over there? You're what, 2 hours ahead of us here?
Yeah.
2,
yeah, I think 2.
Yeah, so it's about to be
right now.
About to be 12 o'clock and shit over there.
I don't know. I normally get in the shop around 9:30 in the morning and walk out at about midnight lately. So
you just been staying at the shop? You're just living shop life sort of at the moment?
Yeah, just the old broken hand, and then a little bit before the last race, like, I think currently I'm like 14, 15 orders behind.
14, 15 what behind?
Orders.
Oh, orders. I got you. I thought you. Okay.
So I'm getting caught up. Everybody, hopefully by the end of next week I'll have them all shipped out. I've been fucking wilding my ass off. So
I guess there's no problem in, you know what? I mean, I'm not obviously telling you how to or anything like that, but once maybe you get ahead of it, there's I forgot who it was. I think it was Max. Anyways, what he was doing is he was just like putting, like, he would make, it was carbon fiber parts or something. He would just make, 10 of them. Here, there's 10 of them available. Here they are. Boom. And then when they'd sell out, they sold out. Like, they were just gone. Because it sounds like you take the order and then they get built.
Yeah. And then there is a disclaimer on my website that I said, hey, maybe in stock, but expect like a 4 to 6 week delay.
Yeah.
So, when they put in the order, like, I can't I feel like it'd be dumb for me to turn away to order because I don't have it in stock. I try to keep them, whatever. Like I don't put it off just because I'm like, fuck it, I'll just go do this. Like I
Yeah.
don't like people waiting on parts, but I also don't want somebody to like go to order and be like, oh, I can't order just because they're gonna go somewhere else.
Yeah,
So
no, that makes fucking sense. No, it no makes total fucking sense, man.
mhm.
Well, it's also good that you have that many orders. I mean, like we said, man,
Yeah,
speak
because like I'll
and shit.
like the last time I put it out and like I finally got ahead. I got fucking I think it was like I made 10 extra and then I sold two while I was making the 10 extra. And I was like, I have 8 extra sitting here, like right now. You know, if you're waiting, I was like, this is the fastest way I can make it happen.
And what year
Those
do you
8
build
sold
them for? What year do you build them for all years of baggers now?
97 to 2022.
So you make them for essentially
Yeah,
every.
I have two different styles. I have like a 97 to 2008, and then I have a 2008 and above, or 2009 and above.
And it's just because they're I guess aesthetically the same, but because of the difference in frames, they are mounting different. But aesthetically, they're the same model. They're different models. They're different versions of them. I guess I don't know.
They're 100% different cuts on each because you know,
Oh,
like your Big Bear ones. You know, I'm not down in anything on it, you know, whatever. But like if you had a fully powder coated frame that wasn't black and would hide that little crossbar underneath where it goes, like you would notice that, you know, your side covers are a little smaller than the opening. You know, I have noticed on the that. So I make a completely different model for the '08 and older I literally just follow the tubes all the way around, you
okay.
know, and then my '09 and up follows the tubes all the way around. Like I try to just accentuate the frame the best I can with
I
how I
got.
do it.
Yeah,
So
no, like I have.
I've
It's not. You know what, man? Like it's not always necessarily like you have to. I guess it's kind of weird sometimes that people always have to go, well, I'm not talking shit. Well, no, we're not talking shit, but we're just speaking what we know, you know? So when you say something
yeah
about Big Bear's product or their brand or whatever, that's just your familiarity with it, you know? And I use their product, or at least for that, I use it. And yeah, the fit and finish, could it be a little bit better? Could it hide the frame a little? Could it be a little bit better? Once I have it in my hands and I put it on, yeah, I recognize that it could probably fit a little bit better for me, at least how it snugs up to the frame or kind of like what it does hide and accentuate in the frame. Yeah, it could. What was I after more so? I was after more of the look that it has with the little kind of cutouts and stuff in it, a little bit more of the
hmm
style to it, I guess. For a specific reason, I wanted to put a little pattern there to kind of use that for something. So but yeah, can the finish on it be a little bit better? Like the fit and finish be on a little bit better? I'm with you. Like it probably
yeah.
fucking can
Like
be.
and my covers for the '08 and down are slightly larger than the ones that you run, just because the way I make them look in the frame. You know, I just it's a totally separate model. You know, I
Yeah.
don't use any of the same blanks. I don't try to modify one to make it work on the other. I
But
just
the
came up with
design
a
itself is the design itself is still the same. It's a flat. It's not like the Big Bear one has a little cutout in it for like the vent look or the air
yeah,
whatever. But yours is just flat. Like I mean,
yeah. I just
aesthetically, 08 and down versus 9 and up. Aesthetically, they're the same. They're just obviously they're going to mount different. Am I? Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. All right.
The shape's a touch different.
I'm gonna have to
You
look
know,
at them.
so
I'm gonna have to take a look at them. Maybe, you know, with our fucking bikes, we don't always want. I do want to change my bike aesthetically. You know, sometimes you just need a facelift. You need a revamp. You know that you've gone through whatever color of bikes, and now, like you said, pink is what your latest latest fucking Rocky is, man. But you know, there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with the pink stuff with pink either. Is rock what you want. Hey, I had a
right.
question actually. What are the are they oil coolers that you have? Are those two big giant oil coolers? What are
Yeah.
those on the front of your bike?
So that's something I came up with myself. So on a Milwaukee 8, the I don't know if you familiarized yourself with the how the oil and cooling system works on it.
A little bit.
So it comes out of the front of a passageway. It'll hit an oil cooler from the factory that's down low, center of the frame. It comes up a tube and then it goes through the heads and then it drops back in the oil tank. On the factory one. So
Right.
my right side oil cooler is plumbed in just like factory. I'm running AN lines and I run the Curly's um, AN lines up over it instead of hard lines. It's all dash 8 AN and 6 AN braided. And then my left side oil cooler, like left side sitting on the bike, that one is ran with a Jag twin cam oil cooler adapter that is thermostatically controlled to 200 degrees. So that oil cooler will only cool when the oil temperature is over 200 degrees Fahrenheit. So the right side one is like factory just remounted, and then the left side one is an auxiliary oil cooler. They just fucking match. They look gangster.
So do they when the other one is not up, you said it's 200 degrees, so it's got like a thermostat type thing on it. So like if it
Correct.
gets up to 200 degrees, then if it gets up to 200, is that when oil then starts passing through it? So oil
Correct.
doesn't pass through it until you hit that thermostat threshold, and then it starts passing.
Correct.
Okay. So where did you put
Because
like a thermostat on, or like where did you? So I totally get the concept. So you got it coming out of the stock cooler for the one on your right side, and then it's obviously circulating back down into the heads from there and making its
yeah.
way. Now, where did you put a thermostat or a bypass or something to go to the
So
auxiliary one?
Jag, JAGG, they make oil coolers for bikes. You have Jag or you have Ultra Cool. Jag makes a oil cooler for a twin cam. They don't market it to an M8, but I put one of those on it, which has a line in, line out thermostat built into it that basically goes on your oil cooler threads. And then you run that on it. And then for me to do it, I can't do a factory oil filter. I have to do a flow oil filter. That's a touch smaller body. That's one of those take apart cleanable oil filters to make it
Yes.
fit in between the front of the head and the frame. And then so I run a twin cam adapter that has the thermostat control like already in it.
Gotcha. And how often that's innovative, man. I saw them on your bike. I assumed that they were oil coolers. I didn't know what capacity, like how they were working with it, were they working with each other, because that's a lot of, I mean, right off the jump. And now that you explain it, it totally makes sense because at first I thought, well, that's a little bit of overkill. Maybe two
Mm-hmm.
identical oil coolers is overkill for a regular cooling system of oil. But now that you have, it's the other one is just a secondary. Is that one more? Do you find that one kicking on more just during the? Well, I guess do you find
Dude,
it kicking on more on the street or the track?
it hardly ever. I hardly ever feel any heat on the street. Fucking the right side one, I can put my glove on it, rolling down the road. I can feel some heat going through it. I'll put my hand on the left one. That motherfucker's cold as ice. Like it's just flowing air through it, not even doing anything. But on the track, it'll open up on the track because you're pushing them so fucking hard. So
Yeah. Well, shit, man, that's a great idea. Where'd you come up with? Did you see it somewhere? Did you kind of just stand back looking at your bike like, I want to do this, or this would be a good addition to? Obviously, cooling oil is a key to any type of vehicle, no matter what stress you're putting it through. But on a racetrack, even more. I mean, did you just step back? What was the thought process? Did you see it somewhere else, and you're like, I'm going to figure out how to make this work on my bike? Or
no, it was just the play in the aesthetics with functionality. So like when I did it, you notice they're not both mounted straight. They're both mounted kind of on an angle. That's kind of like a little dirt bike thing where you have like the
Yep.
fucking radiators that, curve in a little bit. And
They
I
look
was
like
like, all right,
they're
so And I was like, all right, so if I do that, I was like, if any air that doesn't go through the oil coolers, it's going to funnel it through the front of the frame. It's going to cool the front, head and jug the best it can, a little, deflection in it. And then, it was honestly, it was nothing I seen from anybody else. It was just something I wanted to do by myself. But, being a car guy, dealing with fucking AN fittings, dealing with it, and then looking at the oil flow paths and everything, I was just like, this should work. It's not going to overcool the system, which I had, some people, they're like, you're going to overcool it. I was like, no, it's thermostatic control. Don't worry about it. I was like, when it needs it, it'll get it. But when it don't need it, it's not gonna float through. It's just gonna float through the system. I
yeah,
was like, don't tell me it won't work.
I'm glad that you said the overcool thing too, because yes, you can overcool an engine. You need oil's supposed to be at a certain viscosity, kind of, and a certain temperature for it to kind of run its best.
And that's the same thing with like me talking about the turbo shit earlier. When me telling you how hard and fast the turbo lights with heat, motors make power with heat. They get air in, they get fucking air out, they make fucking power with heat. And it's controlling that heat that matters.
Yeah.
It's, you get the guys that, let's go back to car liquid cooled and shit. You get guys that fucking, they think they're water cooled car. They're like, it's overheating. I pulled the thermostat out so it wasn't that. All right, you pulled the thermostat out. Now it's taking water and it's flowing through the radiator. It's not sitting in the radiator long enough to cool that water back down before it puts it back in the system. You are literally restricting the flow to add cooling to the system, is what it is. So if you don't have restricted flow to add cooling to a system, it's not going to cool. You could fucking flow 100-degree water through an oil cooler, but if it doesn't sit in that cooler long enough, it's never going to cool.
Yeah, it's like
You know what I
taking
mean? Like,
it's like taking the hot beer that's been sitting in the sun, and you fucking stick it in the cooler for like a minute, and you're like, it should be cold now. Nope.
yeah, it's a 30-degree cooler. Like it should be
Yeah,
cold. Like, you know
no.
what I mean? Like if it doesn't sit in that cooler long enough, it's
Yep.
never going to cool down. You need the restriction to fucking get it so it runs through the cooler at the right amount of time and shit. Unrestricted flow ain't ever going to cool.
Nope, it's just gonna run through there fucking super fast. That's all that it's gonna do. It's just gonna run
Yeah.
through there faster, which is not what you need. It's a good idea. I like the concept. I saw it on your bike. I was interested in kind of how it worked, like what the thought process was, and mechanically how it kind of went together. What did you just I don't know. I'm assuming, since there's no really, obviously, I hate using the word term kit, but there's nothing like really.
I knew you were going to say fucking
Yeah,
kid.
I hate fucking saying that shit, because people are gonna go, "What kid is that? What kid is that?" Did you use anything as a as a template? Like, is there something that you use as, or did you just kind of fucking throw some brackets together?
No, I went on the old eBayer, and then fucking they had these. I wanted dual pass, so a dual pass oil cooler. So if you have like 10 rows of a dual pass, you have 5 rows that will flow down, hit the bottom bank, and then 5 rows that are gonna flow up. So you have hot side right, cold side left. Fucking instead of, if you have a single pass, it's going to be entering on the top side here and or exiting on the bottom side. So you have 10 flows, and it's going to be top hot, bottom cold. So I wanted a dual pass that would literally, flow it down, 9-degree turn, 9-degree up, and then fucking bring it up. So I did dual pass on both of them for the oil cooler, and I just figured out a sizing and then cut out a cardboard template. Whatever ones I did, it was like, 9 by 6 or whatever, And then I just kind of like set it up there. I was like, yeah, it doesn't stick outside the fairing. It shouldn't look stupid, fucking just kind of, thought process it out. And I was
Yeah.
like, no, this will work, so it's not a kit. It's 100% just homemade. Fucking going to Jags, grabbing some fucking AM lines, some reducers, fucking couple little hose clamps where it made it work. Like that whole oil cooling system on the bike is just all of something my idea,
There you go.
But
I hate that shit myself too, man. You hate using that word kit. Where did you get that kit from, or where did you fucking get that shit from? Like, I don't. It's not a kit. Sometimes you just have to like.
right,
Sometimes you just have to fabricate some shit. You just have to come up with some shit to be a little bit different, to be a little, or not even to be a little bit different. Sometimes you just have to fabricate something to get the job done of how you want it to get done because somebody doesn't make that shit. You want to put your oil coolers on your bike? I need to figure out how to mount this shit, and I need to learn how to make it right because there's nobody that's making that type of shit. So if you want to do it,
yeah,
you got to
and
get
then
your hands dirty.
dude, and that shit's been on there for fucking what 4 races now, and fucking 5,000 street miles. I haven't touched it. I'm just like, you know, like we're rolling in Sturgis. We're rolling 105 miles an hour at a fucking 100-degree heat, 105-degree heat, and fucking the bike didn't give a fuck. Just that. It's like, oh yeah, we're good, dog.
Yeah, that
Thanks for a little extra measure,
Yeah,
like,
no shit. Do you a last question on it? Do you feel that is there more oil that needs to be put in it because of the system you're running it through? Do you need to dump more oil in it?
yeah, I think I'm like a half quart above capacity,
Okay.
compared to what I was before. I always ran my oil level a touch low compared to everybody else. Like if I did an oil change on a MA, I think they call for 4.5 quarts. I would drop the filter, I'd pour 4 in, and fucking not even check the dipstick and just fucking run it. And I just called it good. And it didn't even fucking puke out. Now I think I put like 4.5 in it. So I think I got an extra half quart of oil capacity on it. So
Okay. Not much then. Not much.
yeah,
My engine guy always told me, man, he's like, if you're gonna run it, if you don't overrun, just be like a little bit, you can be under because the way I have an S&S in mind. So the way you're gonna be pumping oil through this thing and everything, the way it's gonna go, you're gonna be good at half or a little bit under. That you'll be just fine.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
so I try to take like my best intuition on some shit and I just run with it. If
run
it
with
works, it works. If it doesn't, I just burn down a $10,000 motor. I don't give a fuck.
well, that's the way to roll with it, man. Hey, Steve, we're on a fucking Joe Rogan status right now, man. I think this might really be like the longest podcast. I think I just did another one with Jim, actually, that we were talking about him, and I think we just set the new benchmark. Yeah, we're definitely on Joe Rogan status.
Yeah,
Of
what,
the
3
length of
hours, 12 minutes right now?
yeah, man, we're in pretty deep, and you know what? Like all said and done, man. It's we sat here for 3 hours and bullshit, man, and we've never uttered a word to each other face to face, and like in this sense, and awkwardness aside, or any like trying to get the weirdness aside, or how do we approach this thing aside. Push come to shove, when it comes down to it, man, I think it's fair to say that, and I think that you might be able to understand and read. Hey, I think we're similar in that way, where we're gearhead guys, man. I understand the geeky stuff and the nerdy stuff that you're talking about when it comes to fittings and the radiator and the fucking the cooling system and everything else that goes around it. So it was good having this conversation with you, man, and just chopping it up a little bit. All bullshit aside, I can always bury the hatchet, at least have a conversation with somebody. And we may grow up from different cultures or different lifestyles and different upbringings of Harleys and different time periods, but push come to shove, you ride them, you live them right now, especially. It's kind of what has consumed your life, I guess. Air quotes is the best way to kind of put it in sense, but it seems like in a good way, though.
Yeah.
It seems. I think it doesn't seem like it's like been like a bad thing for you. If you met a lot of people, made some relationships, some friendships, and all that shit, and started a business out of the damn thing, you know. So it's definitely it seems like it's been a good thing for you. And like I said, man, I'll go back and say it again on record. It's fair to say I judge a little bit of book by the cover, but that's also me just being me, throwing a little jab here and there and stuff. And some people can take it one way, some people can't. You know, after we've had this conversation, I think now you understand me a little bit better and where I'm coming from, and maybe you as vice versa, I guess you can say.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, like, you know, maybe a little bit that you can take from this is just being careful on the books that you judge by the cover. You know,
Yeah.
because sometimes, you know, some of the most memorable people fucking ain't gonna be exactly how you see them from the get go. You know, you're gonna sit there and you're gonna be like, all right, you know. And I don't look the part. Do I look the part? Fuck no. You know, I haven't been part of, you know, the motorcycle culture. I got into motorcycles because, you know, what was explained earlier, where it's like, you know, I got a restricted license and it got me on a bike. But with the mechanical mind that I have, like, it's consumed me, you know.
Yeah.
And I fucking love motorcycles. I love traveling. I love meeting people and all that shit. So if there's anything I'm going to tell you, is I'm going to tell you to fucking leave California more, go travel the country, you know, when you can. And, you know, I know you got your own shit with your family and all that shit,
Yep.
but try to plan just the fucking cross country trip where like a no stress one, you know, don't fucking book it out. I need to be here. I need to be here. Just be like, I'm gonna be gone for 8 days. I'll get back in 8 days and just go travel and start, you know, seeing how Iowa is, seeing how Montana is, seeing just whatever you can make in that fucking 8 days and understand how different the world is out of your own little clique. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, man, and it's good advice, and I appreciate the advice. And trust me, man, you don't know how many times I think about that and how often I think about that. About like, fuck, man, I just want to take a because I got listen with these kids that I've had over the past couple of years. I have in California where we have baby bonding time, where even the dad can take some fucking time off of work and shit and be getting paid and all that, right? So I have some of this time banked up, you know. And trust me, man, you don't know how many times I think about that, where I'm like, fuck, I just want to get out and I want to go and do exactly what you said. I want to go out for 5 days or 4 days, or fuck, I would love to go out for 7 days, 8 days, 9 days and just ride by myself. I don't need anybody to go with me.
No.
I truly don't. I don't need a group of people to go. I am not that type that I like people to go. That's cool. That's fun, but I don't need anybody to go. I'm probably a little bit better solo because I don't have an agenda or a timeline or anything like that. And I want to do that more, and I will. My life just fucking right. And the guilty part of me as a man, like as a man and as a dad, is spending that time with my kids right now versus going and spending that time on the road. But on the
You
contrary to it,
gotta you gotta balance that shit, dude. You
bingo,
know, I
bingo,
guess I'm not
bingo.
in it, but you also like if you're gonna tell your kids stories, you gotta have stories to
Yep.
tell. You
No,
know what I
bingo.
mean? Like,
Bingo. And that's exactly where I was going and what I was going to say. On the contrary to that, I as dad also need to have uh dad time. And if I did that for like what we're talking about, if I did that for 5 days out of the entire year, if I did that one time for 5 days out of the year, well, come on, how bad is that really? It's really not that. But that's the dad in me, that's the man in me and shit. I don't know, but I do love being on the road, man. One of these days, we'll link up. We'll do some miles and shit, man. I will make it a point to go and ride with you because I do like to ride
yeah,
fast
I
and
can't
stuff,
wait. I
man.
can't wait to go in the canyons and go smoke your ass.
I want that to happen, homeboy. I really want it to happen. I would bring it on. I would love for it to happen. And listen, I am not one to fucking go and or I am one. Let me rephrase that. I am one to go and say like, hey, motherfucker smoked me. And if if or when, whichever that may be, happens, then I will fucking be right there going, motherfucker can rip. Because trust me, Steve, I have friends that are here that ride fucking I fucking tip my hat to them. I point to them. I go, you want to see somebody that can ride? That motherfucker can ride. And he rides with like his chick on the back the same way he rides with fucking nobody on the back. Like he rides the same damn way. So there are dudes, trust me, that fucking rip way harder than I do. But I always like fucking riding with new people, and I know that you got a heavy hand. Is that the best way that we can fucking kind of describe it?
I got a smart one. I'll throw out, dude. That's a big thing that some people that ride with me, like, dude, I don't give a fuck if, like, all right, you want to go 130? I'll go 130 all day, like, whatever. Oh, you want to go to the speed limit and just like cruise? And I'm like, all right, cool. I can Instagram while I'm riding. Like, I don't give a fuck. Like, it don't matter to me. Like, I'm not a guy that's like, I gotta go fast all the time. I gotta like, I don't care. I adjust for the people around me.
Yeah, most of us do, you know. What I don't like I like cruising too, man. Sometimes you get with a big group of people and everybody always wants to have the big dick competition. And everybody's riding as fast as they can all the time. I like cruising every now and then too, man, and like checking out the shit and seeing. I don't want everything that I'm riding by to be a blur. I like to enjoy it a little bit every
dude,
now.
that's like some things with like trips, like you're talking solo, or you just get a one homie or two that are just on your level. And like sometimes you just step back and you're just like, as much as at the gas station where you're sitting there and you just go, I want to take off right now. But you're just like, you know what? When they say they want to go, we're going to go. I'm not even going to put in a word on this. I'm just going to keep sipping my Gatorade or my water. And I was like, when those guys say they want to go, I'll go. And like sometimes you got to have those little like road trips, even like that, where it's like you're on someone else's schedule. You're like, I'm not going to tell you when we need to leave. I want to leave 15 minutes ago. You keep fucking off. You went back in the bathroom and fucking cranked one more out, but fucking I'd have left already. We could be fucking 20 minutes down the road. I'm ready for a fucking Texas Roadhouse or some shit.
Oh shit, man. I'm the same fucking way, homeboy. Hey dog, well let's wrap. We will do another one. Because you and I sounds like we can geek out on some shit and have some shit in common. We can link up for sure again on another one and maybe invite some more people to the party next time. It's always fun having other perspectives and other shit come and join the table, I guess,
All right, for sure, man. Hey, it's been good. Fucking glad we can clear the air a little bit.
Shit, yeah, man. For sure. Call it what you want, call it what it is, man. But I always appreciate conversation and dialogue and being able to talk to some, because hearing it in their voice and talking to and versus texting someone and that type of shit, it's different. We can see each other eye to eye, man. So good luck to you on your shit with the race league and all that stuff, man. Keep hustling, keep grinding, man. I guess keep putting in the work to go and pay for that shit, because I know nobody's fucking over there throwing money at your feet and shit. You got a following and shit. Maybe you can go strip for some parts, or I don't know. Maybe you can do something to go and like help continue to fund it. But in the meanwhile, keep fucking doing what you're doing to get out there, man.
All right, right on. Just remember, Cali riders don't leave Cali.
Get the fuck out of here. All right, later. Oh shit, man. Steve, I know you're still watching. I can still see your ass right there. Good shit, homeboy, man. It is what it is, man. We don't need to leave though. Let me just defend Cali. We also don't need to motherfucking leave all the damn time over here, but I will defend Steve. Get out and ride a little bit. Go and see some other shit. Go and see Texas. Go and see Tennessee. Go and see New York. Go and see fucking Montana. Go to Yellowstone. Go to Washington. Go somewhere else. Get outside your bubble a little bit and go out there and fucking travel. All right. So, Steve, it was good having you. I appreciate you coming and take some time, man. Anybody that tuned in on YouTube, thank you guys very much. You guys have a damn good night. This will be uploaded on a podcast very soon. Good to chop it up with the homeboy. You guys have a good night. Later.